At the end, you'll, on this app, you'll do this, you'll just end the meeting for all and then close it off into YouTube. So. We're live. So we can call it whenever. You can.
Call this meeting to order. This is the 2026 budget workshops. This will be something we'll do over the next couple of days. If y'all want to, could we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thanks, guys, for thanks, guys, for coming in, and I appreciate Kristen and Heather getting this room organized for us. This is really helpful. First on the docket is DJ.
Good morning, everybody. Riley comes to work with me every day, and since I come here first, I thought I would just bring him.
We're fine.
Maybe I should have given you a heads up beforehand, but comes to work with me, sits behind the bench with me. Sometimes he goes out and visits with inmates and people in the gallery, and then really makes a difference, I think. So anyway, good morning to everyone. I really appreciate the opportunity to come talk with you. I am pleased to share that I don't feel that there are any big changes from the circuit budget. We have not had any jury trials yet in circuit court, which is rare. And I'm not sure that we had any last year, and I've never experienced that. I've been working in circuit court since 2007, and we usually average about 4 jury trials a year. Last year, the General Assembly increased the amount that we have to pay our pettit jurors. So if you sit on the jury, they doubled the amount that you're supposed to, that we have to pay. And so I had to ask for a big bump. So 50,000, I think, is in that line, and we haven't used any. I will say we do, I believe I've got a murder case that's gonna go, I think, in next month. I should take about a week. So I guess that's the update that I wanted to share on the pettit juror situation. Everything else, as I said, if you look at psychiatric services, that is another one that's been kind of problematic for us lately, because I probably have 5 defendants right now on my docket that are either seeking the insanity defense or incompetency to stand trial, or both. And it is super expensive because the statute requires that I appoint a psychiatrist and a psychologist to do an evaluation. And it can cost, usually it's, I think, 5,000. I mean, it's a lot of money. And I have not yet had an insanity defense go to trial. But if that happens, I have to call these 2 doctors as witnesses. I'm the one that calls them, and so the prosecutor puts their case on the defense. If they choose to put on a case, they put their case on, and then the court calls these 2 doctors, and they're not cheating. So I'll have a better understanding of what that looks like after this trial, because this upcoming murder case, the defendant is seeking the insanity defense. So the psychiatric services this year it's been kind of tough. We've had to move some around from other line items, and I think we took some out of pettit jurors in March to cover some of those expenses. And something else.
Because I think in 25, we had been at 15 since luckily previous year, a lot of that had been spent. I believe we only had 10,000 for last year, which is, even though we're on that, obviously more than double thus far, the 6 month mark, that's all you put in, do you feel like we? I don't know what's coming up with this upcoming trial, but do you feel like that 10,000 needs to be increased, or we?
I
hold off
don't
fingers
want-
crossed and wait and deal with it?
Yeah, I think the latter. I don't wanna ask or increase more because it is, to me, it's just a complete anomaly that I've had so many people just this year and last. I've never seen anything like it, and it's just, there's no way to predict. So I feel like we've been able to cope with anything so far, and worst case scenario, I mean, I don't enjoy doing it, but worst case scenario, I can come to you towards the end of the year, next year, if it becomes a problem. I just feel like it's almost like we gotta get these out of our system, one way or another.
So you can get across the bridge.
Yeah,
I know the other thing that jumped out at me once the budgets were submitted, I was thrilled where we were currently for the secure juvenile placement line item, which obviously is extremely costly for the county. And I
yeah.
don't know what that is as of today, but,
So
better.
we start out at 90. And it has traditionally been probably the most expensive next to psychiatric services.
Corporations and multiple years.
Yeah.
Right.
Right now I'm at 61,000. So we're good. And again, that's another one there's just no way to predict, and some years it's feast or famine type.
And we would hope if things do come to fruition with the former jail and juvenile. And that for a juvenile facility, we would hope that that number would decrease.
I would think that would, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the cost is, it's not only the every day, but then there's also the cost of transporting and so forth, so. Association dues, just so you're aware, that covers, both Judge Jacobs and I, we have to pay annual dues to keep our license up, and then there's continuing education that we have to go to every year, and so that number is static right now. I haven't seen it, I don't think it's gone up for several years, but that number is dictated by the Supreme Court.
Are you still getting a grant for mediation?
Yes, and I will share with you, yes, so I am getting, I don't know the number, but I have started in the juvenile chins cases, so the CPS cases. They're DCS cases, but many people call them CPS. We, instead of doing pre-trials, so I said, when a child's removed or a petition alleging a child's a child in need of services is filed, I used to set a pre-trial and a trial. So you have to, and the deadlines are pretty hard and fast. I got 60 days to have that trial. And if not, then I am required to dismiss the petition. And there's exceptions, the parties can agree to extend it by 60 days, but the short of it is, when I came in, I started setting pre-trials before these trial dates. And it really made a big difference, because when you get people in the room, they can talk and maybe work things out and come to some sort of resolution beforehand. Well, so with grant money that I've got from CIP, Court Improvement Project, from the Supreme Court, I've hired a mediator, and he comes down, and instead of pre-trials now, I set facilitation hearings. So the 60-day trial date, and then maybe 30 days out, I'll set a facilitation, and he will get the Department of Child Services in the room with the parents, their lawyers, and anybody else who's, a player in that dynamic. And he's back to 1,000. I haven't had a trial. And that's huge. I set trials are Friday afternoons, sort of mediations, but trials are Friday afternoons. They're expensive. They take time. They are emotionally tolling on the parties. And I think one of the biggest benefits is that if you reach an agreement, there's no appeal. And we have to pay our public defender to represent the parent for the appeal. And when there's an appeal, you have three out of 15 Court of Appeals judges are assigned. There's a three judge panel. And if 2 out of 3 judges believe that I made a mistake, they reverse the decision. And it costs money, and then we're back to square one, and just again, with the emotional impact that it has and on families, and it's just been difficult. So that's been a wonderful program so far. I'm super excited about it, and I'm looking forward to continuing that.
Can you tell me on that? I know you went in depth talking about it, but is it for the full 6,000 or on the media, is it?
Yeah, okay, so let me make sure I recall.
Not that it's a lot of money, but it's nice that you're getting that grant.
Well, yeah, so it was the total number is 15,000.
Okay,
But and it's 20, I think it's 20%, it's an 80% match, I think that was the number. Damn, I just can't exact.
okay, that's fine.
But it was a very favorable match from the Supreme Court. And then I came in and asked for just a little more. And then, and you were gracious enough to give me some additional money. And really what that is, I'm just taking that 15,000 and at the distribution points, I'm writing a check to the mediator. That's all that is for his salary.
Oh, it's awesome.
Thank you. I do too. I'm really, really pleased with it. One other thing that I just wanted to share with you, the certified court interpreter. I have a $5,000 line on that, and the Supreme Court of Indiana pays for what we call a language line. Then they were going to take it away from us. Well, then they gave it back to us. But I want you to know that this year, for the first time, I brought a live interpreter in. And it was amazing. So what happens is I've got a mom or a dad or a defendant, and they don't speak English. Primarily it's Spanish speaking, but the language line does anything. And I have to call the line, I put them on speaker, and then I have to bring my microphones, which amplify. I'll put those next to the phone. And then it's a very slow, taxing process. I've gotten pretty good at it, but the lawyers forget. So I have to yell at them and say, listen, before you start, stop, let the person translate and then ask your next question. We brought a live person in, and I can't describe to you. He sat right behind the defendant. You couldn't hear him talk. And we just went as if he wasn't there. I mean, so I want to look into the possibility of expanding that, because I just think the difference it's night and day. I have enough in the line to do maybe another case, and we'll see what happens, but I'm not quite ready to come in here and say, can I have more in the interpreter line? Because the other thing is, again, just like everything else, it's up and down. Some days I don't have anyone, I don't have any need, and other days it's like nobody speaks English. And so it's just kind of how we have to take it day by day almost. So.
My only other question on yours, and I apologize, I told myself questions look it up and I did not get a chance. We obviously dealt with the discrepancy with the bailiff position last year.
Yes.
For Superior and Circuit, and tried to fill that gap with the difference in there. So when I was looking at the salaries, the court reporter reminded me, do we have a turnover? And so now the new step, because this year's requested budget for the court reporter is less. Do we have a new staff member that was then starting at a lower?
We do. By June of 27, I'll have a complete turnover of staff.
Okay.
My bailiff is retiring in
Yes.
September.
And the
Just got a text
reporter
message from
will be
somebody.
new also.
Court reporter retired recently.
Okay.
And so I moved the administrative assistant, who that person is primarily assigned to Judge Jacobs' court and does the magistrate courtroom. That position, she moved over and became my court reporter. We hired a new person. I will say that she's going on maternity leave in November, so November, December, January. We've got to figure something out there. And then my probate clerk will be retiring in June of next year. And my court reporter that retired, the probate clerk that will be retiring, they've been there a long time. So you're going to see some differences in
Okay.
the salaries.
And then we're just handling that because we didn't know the exact cost because of payouts on vacation, how long someone might go with unpaid time. When it gets closer to the end of the year, we're going to do a transfer at that time. Before anything goes negative, of course.
Increase.
And, your increase on the full-time position, that's what we agreed upon to replace. Cause it has 26 salary at 38,672, and it's gone to 44,946. Did we talk about that this year? I thought we did. For the new hire.
Right, so
Yes.
originally that reporter salary was closer to like 52
Right.
or something like that, so we have brought it down. Brought the other position up a little more because it was the lowest paid in the courthouse. So kind of reallocated those.
Yes.
All right.
Foresee any other things that may come up this year? Next year during that.
I do not. Just it. I feel like I'm a broken record, but I feel like we're just, you never know what the psych services are gonna cost. You never know what juvenile detention is gonna cost. And sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. So, but I don't foresee any, there's nothing that I can tell you today. I'm looking that this is going to happen, other than the turnover, the staff turnover, the turnover that I'm working with.
Thank you.
Thank you, DJ.
All right. Anything else? Thank you very much. I'm hanging around.
Yeah.
No one next to it, too.
Riley, you gonna hang around?
We can just roll in there, okay, that works.
Now I get to see the room from this side. Last year we were on the other side. Okay, so hello, everyone. Basically I kind of gave you guys a bullet point, cheat sheet with funding and things like that. Again, these are approximate numbers. Basically, so we've been cut, which I've talked to you guys from DOC. We got cut approximately $193,000, or approximately 30% of our budget, again this year. It's not just DOC, it's everywhere. I will say that last year when I came in front of you guys, I also had the Office of Court Services allocation letters. So that was helpful in being able to give you guys a clearer picture of what grant funding we have. However, at this point, I do not have any of those allocation letters, sorry.
These are newest.
My newest ones. So what we did when I looked at numbers is we took the amount from IOCS that we got last year. I will tell you that I asked for more than that amount. But we felt that was a safe amount to approximate that we would receive through them. I have emailed them and reached out to them last week and the week before last, just saying, hey, can you give us at least a time frame? And I still don't have anything yet. My hope is in the next couple weeks, but again, I thought I would have better numbers for you in that sense. So we have also applied for our JPAR Justice Partners Grant, which is a federal grant. So we just sent that application in. I think we normally, they tell us, but we didn't get money in a very long time. I think they normally tell us in September, maybe end of August.
Yeah.
Something around there for that. So that one comes a little later. On that one, we did, normally we just use our peer recovery coach, which is also a graduate of our drug court program. She works very hard with our drug court participants to help navigate them in that system. This year, we split that up between our drug court coordinator, our drug probation officer, and our peer recovery specialist, only because Justice Partners had a $3 million grant last year. This year, they cut that budget to 1.5. So, last year we asked for 60, we got, 56 and some change. This year we asked for 60 again. I will be very surprised if we get 40, just because their whole budget has been cut in half. Now, that is a grant that we've been getting for many years now, so I'm hoping that also goes into play with that. We also, I think it's important that we have a drug court graduate as the peer recovery coach on that program. And the reason I'm focusing so much on that program is because that is what DOC cut as far as funding wise. They've continually cut that, but last year we at least got 44,000, whereas this year we didn't get anything. So, as far as total salary wise, we have one person who the state did not give raises for probation officers again this year. They didn't for 2026 and they are not for 2027. I will tell you guys that based on that and trying to keep the workforce where it is, I chose not to give any of our administrative staff a raise this year as well. So when you look at those salaries, we just carried them over from last year's amounts. The two changes would be then that, well, actually there's three now, but we have one that moved into the 4 to 10 year category as far as probation officers. So we had to increase that salary. We also have a probation officer who has said he will be retiring in July, based on just where we are right now with funding. I'm not going to fill that position unless something would happen and we would get more money. So we will not be filling that. My field officer has also said that he will be retiring in the next couple months. So based on that, we are going to move that position to a part-time position as well. So what I am requesting from the county, last year we requested that you guys covered our perf for approximately 128, we will say. This year I am going to ask that the county cover our fringe, which is our perf is approximately 126 this year. And our FICA is approximately, we'll say 56,000. I'm also looking into requesting opioid funds. There were a couple additional federal grants that we got logins for that I attempted to apply for. So hopefully those may help as far as drug court programs. There are a couple in September that open. I also want to apply for JCJTAP and then with the Bethany Legacy. However, those are all grants that you can't apply for until the beginning of the year. So I'm limited as far as what I can give you guys in that sense. We are hoping that there may be a supplemental like it was with Office of Court Services last year. They supplemented funds and gave us an additional 53,479. However, I'm not super positive that will happen. I do, however, so since approximately 2022, granted this was before my time, but when the state was giving lots of money for our pretrial and things like that, we were also heavily funded with DOC. So we have approximately $100,000 in a fund that technically is the Indiana Office of Court Services money. So that's grant money that was not spent in those years. Well, we've asked for numerous years waiting for an invoice. This year I was like, I'm gonna ask forgiveness over permission at this point. It's just sitting there. So I also wrote them and requested that we be able to keep that money. I did talk with, pardon me, with Angie, who works for Office of Court Services. She said that they have been considering those this year. So I'm hoping that will be some leniency, as far as additional funding with that. I guess my big picture on this is if we look at just getting what we got last year, we're still in the deficit. If we look to cutting, so if we get supplemental, and we get the request from the county, then we have a cushion of approximately $72,000. Now that's again stating that we get everything that we got last year, but that gives us a little bit of cushion. If we get the same amount of funding and we have no county supplemental, that's opioid funds, or with the support from county council, then we're looking at a deficit of about $279,000. So then I will be looking at a workforce reduction of a minimum of 6 positions. you're looking at, as far as the services we'll be able to provide, you're looking at check-ins. If I have to drop 6 people, our workloads for adults right now are we have one who is in the 70%, the rest of mine are in the 90s and high 80s% as far as what the state looks at for maximum workload. So if we go to dropping 6 people, they're gonna have to come in. Is your information correct? Can we give you a drug screen? But I will not be able to have classes, which are those evidence-based classes that we teach in-house for people that help them work to change their thinking, change their behaviors. So I will not be able to provide any of those interventions, those worksheets, those workbooks, those classes, those, what do I want to say? That motivational interviewing, all of those practices, my people won't be able to have the time to do that. So you're looking at no services that we can provide other than those check-ins. What's changing people's lives? What's stopping people from doing those same behaviors? We don't have anything. We don't have a class to help them walk through. We don't have a person that they can sit there and spend some time with talking about what their situation is. So my POs can better understand and help provide services to that person. We just won't have that available. I did a small graph here with just some of our numbers of the people that we continually serve. Obviously, we want numbers to go down. I always say that, we want to work ourselves out of a job. But, not all of those numbers of who gets sent to us and everything is our control. However, we do continue to provide numerous services for hundreds of people in our county. So, I would say what we've already cut in just the last year of me being in this position. So we've not filled or cut 3 full-time positions. Then we'll have 2 positions that are going to move to part-time. So that's saving us almost $493,000. We cut our operating costs by 153. I cut it this year a little bit more, but it's only a couple thousand. That's kind of scraping the barrel with that. We reduced our training budget by $22,500. Training budget has been really difficult as far as those are things that we sent, like our drug court team to their drug court conferences. I send my people up to fall and spring conferences where they can learn different techniques, staff with other people, get some other ideas. We don't have any of that. I also don't have a training budget to be able to help pay other educators and evidence-based practices right now to get them into our office. So we're kind of relying on my leadership team to do all of those trainings as well. We try to make them as evidence-based as possible, but it would be helpful if we had some wiggle room to be able to get somebody in there and help refresh that. We've got some new people and some olds, so it would be nice to get everybody refreshed on how to really work with people. Our supervised diversion program, as I told you guys earlier, unfortunately is now back at the prosecutor's office because once we had our last PO leave, he was covering the sex offender caseload. Diversion is the only program we don't get funding for right now. So that's what we sent back to the prosecutor's office. Again, that full-time group facilitator that could teach 6 different types of classes, that was moved last year to part-time. So therefore, we're not teaching our matrix program, which is our intensive treatment program for those with stimulant use addictions. We also don't have the CBISO, which is more of an educational class that we gave to our sex offender caseload, as well as Prime, which was one of those classes for more of your low risk, maybe your first DUIs, kind of that educational, get your head out of your butt. You have all of these things, first time runner things. Obviously, studies show you don't want to put low risk people with high risk people or moderates because it basically teaches them criminal thinking in that sense of the matter. So those are 3 classes we no longer can have. And then, I did not do cost of living raises for any of my staff budgeted for 2027.
And the diversion has already been turned back over to the MWE this time.
Yes, that is
And
correct.
yeah, kind
In
of
July,
checking
technically.
boxes, doing paperwork, which is taking time from his staff. We're losing the program.
We're losing people being able to be supervised. So there's still drug screens. We still referred our diversion people to our programming in-house if they need substance. Because you have some people who may be a diversion, but they may have high needs. And, their risk level may be low, but they may not have a stable home. They may not have a family support system that shows them what that pro-social thinking is. So all of those classes now aren't available. Well, they could be, but the prosecutor's office doesn't have time to do.
And it'll be July when the probation officer retires, that's not refilled. And the field officer is gonna be replaced at part-time.
Field officer will be probably the end of this year at part-time, correct? And then July of next year will be the PO. Yes,
Who's
Jeff's retiring. And then John Higgins is our, oh, sorry. Dang it, I wasn't supposed to say it.
That's okay.
Remove that,
Yeah, remove that word,
I think, strike that from
chance?
all that.
Are you still using ankle bracelets?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And can you tell me about how many people are on ankle bracelets?
Yes, I can. So, with my Post-its here. See all my arguing paperwork. So right now we have about 64 on home detention as far as just for home detention. That's not people who have protective orders or things like that. They're also on monitor. The restrictions are just a little bit different. We have one person that supervises that whole caseload right now. That our my deputy chief looked at reallocating caseloads and things by risk level. Now, if we lose more funding or lose more people, we may have to kind of break that up. But right now we have, so Candace is our highest workload right now.
Isn't that kind of low for past year? I thought at one time we were up to
Numbers.
about 230.
So at one time, before.
239.
Before we merged, and as far as community corrections, basically supervision was different as far as we placed almost everyone on monitor when we had community corrections. Fast forward, when we merged, we realized that wasn't necessarily crediting that monitor time in the way that it should be. So now if they are on monitor, it is either due to a sanction or they've been specifically sentenced by the court to home detention. Now, that doesn't mean if someone is sentenced to us and not on monitor and they violate, that doesn't mean that then part of their sanction can be. So it is lower than when we had just community corrections, but that is because monitoring time and home detention were different. And so we had to change that to make sure.
You were supposed to reach out to, or you have reached out to Indiana Department of Corrections. Have they responded to you?
I have not had any other responses other than that they were cut. The 7 million, they're doing everything they can. I also requested to have a meeting, but I did not hear back. I
We
don't.
have reached out also, fine.
Yes, please.
We've reached out to our representatives, so Representative Zimmerman and Bascom, both are aware, and I mean, it's statewide. I've had some positive responses, from both of them. I know they are aware of the problem, they're working it. I got a text message from Representative Zimmerman last week who indicated the governor either had or was poised to release additional funding to address some of the shortfall from the DOC. And I guess I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not. So I just, the upshot though is that they're working on it too. They're aware of the problem and we're doing what we can. It's just that the work that they do at court services is so important because it's an opportunity to keep people in the community and get them services that they need. And it's a safety issue. And we're able to provide those services and keep people in the community safely. The only other option is unfortunately to send them to the Department of Correction. And yes, there are crimes and offenses where it's required. There's non-suspendable cases where if you commit a certain level of offense, the judge doesn't have a choice. There must be Department of Correction time. But if there's an opportunity to safely supervise those people in the community, unfortunately, because then, they work, kids can go to school, we don't have to worry, we don't have to worry about where we're gonna put the kids, and that they pay taxes and they stay in the community, and that's important.
So they're putting into the system as opposed to being over there
Yes.
and drawn from the system.
Well, and I think the thing is, not here, I've had almost 10 years here, but I've had almost 20 in social services and and they're gonna come back to their communities most of the time. So if we don't help provide some of those services, they're gonna go back to the same people, places and things.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
doesn't promote change.
When I'm talking to somebody at sentencing, and I'm telling them, that how much I believe in court services and on in her team. I want to be able to continue to say to them, because what I do say to them is they will do, when I say they, I mean court services will do whatever they can to help. They will, you know, if you have if you have a slip up and you have you test positive and you have a relapse, that's not the end of the world. They will work with you, get more services for you, try to continue to pile on services to help. And I want to be able to continue to say that. My worry is that if we're putting higher caseloads on these caseworkers, they're not going to be able to devote the time that they need to these individuals who really, really need the help. And then to your point, when you're talking about moving the diversion program to the prosecutor's office, it's not the prosecutor's fault. It's just there's a resource issue there. We can't get services to them, and it's an opportunity on the diversion program instead of just checking the box and hey, just stay out of trouble. That's not really helping in my view. And so it's very challenging.
I will say too, in the sense of community and what that brings, especially with our JCAP program as well, but we work to partner with a lot of, whether that's treatment providers, local agencies, and I think it also helps. Sometimes it's easy not to look at the things that maybe you don't want to look at in the county, but I think it really shows our county when we have places like the bank or the clearinghouse, Work One, Centerstone, LifeSpring, the hospital, all of these, you know, the community foundation, all of these different agencies that come together and they get to see success stories, or they get to work with someone who comes back and says, I haven't had anyone that gave a crap about me, or, oh my gosh, you said this to me and it stuck with me. I was telling the judge the other day, I have a guy that still comes and sees me, and God love him. I don't know if he will ever get out of the criminal justice system, but every time he goes to prison, he writes me and lets me know. He's like, and I mean, and I had him probably within my first year, but he writes and he tells me, I'm getting my GED, I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that's with everyone, but these services aren't just what we're providing to the people. This is also what gives our community something else to believe in. This is also what gives our community those snapshots of, yes, there are things that nobody wants to talk about, and we do unfortunately have that in Jefferson County, but here's the services we're providing to make that better. Here's the other people that we're working with as a team to make Jefferson County that all-encompassing service. I'm really proud, I would say, of the connection that we have with Jefferson County service agencies, Bethany, Legacy. I mean, and even partnering with them with JCAP has also introduced relationships that I didn't think of, that they've contacted and said, hey, what about this? So, you know, not only is it saving the county money by not incarcerating people, but we're saving the county extra stress, and emotional support is what we're giving, not just as far as changing of thinking, but that's also for families and the safety of people. Like Judge said, there are people that no, their crimes do not negate or do not mean that they should be out here. However, knowing that there are services that can be provided help. And we have people who come out of DOC. There are people who spend time in DOC and still transfer out to us, which what better services would you have than someone else who's watching that person, screening that person, making them come in, accountability, than to say, cool, you're out of DOC, you know, you have parole for 2 months and then you're back to what? So these services continue. They start from before, you know, they start when someone is first charged. We start providing those services as fast as we can in jail. And then as soon as they come out, we try to just surround them with as much as we can. So
You had mentioned and hinted that, with county funding cuts, you felt like our county received a deeper cut. You had mentioned that at our.
So I
meeting.
did,
you verify? I was just curious.
Yeah.
Because I was trying not to overthink that, thinking, is it because we're doing something well? And, you know, they want us to look for other resources, you know, sometimes soft funding dries up and they want us to go somewhere else, and we've had funding.
I think having Amber, who applied for everything when it originally came out, I think really benefited us as far as we had all of these programs and services. I think what also hurt us is that formula that they go by, which is based on county population. It's a, old formula. And I had these and I may have to email them to you. There, because Mitchell had done a spreadsheet for me where they were all listed and we were up at the top. I will say that in Mr. Zimmerman's meeting with DOC, he had stated, they had mentioned, and just being honest, but they had stated if a county didn't specifically prioritize that drug court was a priority, they did not give them any funding. I will tell you that my argument to that is when I apply for an entire grant that is a drug court grant in separation of my community corrections court grant, I don't know how to tell you that's more of a priority. If I'm applying for a second, and there's not a priority button, to the point where I sent Representative Zimmerman our applications that we sent in this year. I sent in my budgets and my applications, like, if I miss something, this is not something I'm veteran in. If I miss something, there are other ways that I can discuss this, I will. However, I will tell you that when Mitchell looked, I do know that just off the top, there were only 14 counties in the state that they funded as far as drug court this year.
Okay, and I think my chicken scratch says that we felt like we were the 9th highest in the
It was-
state
yes.
budget cuts. Yeah, I just was trying to think of
Why?
it would be and if that would be.
Is that-
I think I've been told for 2 years we've been overfunded according to this. And like I said, their first formula when they sent it out says that we would have gotten $333,000. So when I had talked with Ty, when he gave us our original one of the 450,509, he had said, well, we bumped it up because you teach classes and things like that. And that's what we gave you. So I do think that is, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, is that based on population?
So the formula, which I always have to bring a copy of because it's very odd to me, but I'm not a mather, so that could be why. This was organized today, guys, I swear. Maybe I don't have it today. Hang on. Which I can also get to you guys. I don't know, I swore I did, but
We were originally a pilot county.
Right.
And we were 100% funded, and I think slowly we've had to start putting in, but I think other counties had to put in
Upfront.
upfront. And so I think we're just playing catch up with finally getting
I think that's fair.
probably closer to where other counties probably
I
have.
will also say that, again, not pointing fingers anywhere, but when we walked into the financial thing that we did last year, I think better budgeting and not a lot of other counties have a big PI. We did, I won't lie, we did what Amber did. And when I took over, we were negative. So I think some of that mismanagement of that public income that we could have used for additional salaries or supports, I don't think was used in the extent that it should have been.
Oh, there's no doubt that just that I was saying adult treatment for court services in general is much more lean than when we started.
Oh, yeah.
So just, a brief timeline. So we had our first community corrections person in August of 2010. March of 2011 was when we started drug court with that state certification in 2012. We began teaching in-house evidence-based classes also in 2012. Again, we were another pilot county for pretrial, which started in 2017. And then we were one of the first certified in May 2021. As of up until last year, we were still part of pretrial pilot projects for numbers, things like that, because our pretrial program is very strong here. Then obviously we had the diversion in 2018 that was moved back of July this year. We unified in 2022. That's when we also took over probation, and then we started JCAP in 2026. So I mean, essentially we've been here since 2011. Again, I believe in the services that we provide. So that's kind of my spiel.
I think there's all kinds of data, right, that drug court helps prevent recidivism, right?
Yes.
So, I mean,
And it's like our recidivism rate for our county is 33, and I believe the state average is 39. So we're still, last year was a tough year for us. I think part of it too was because I needed to pull Mitch from probation officer. to then being coordinator and then get a probation officer in that position. So our numbers last year were not as high as I would like them to be. We had 15 last year, which is a lower year for us. I do feel though it was because I didn't have the availability of staff to dedicate to getting people in there. I will say this year though, our numbers we are already over what our performance measures were as far as we met. I think our goal was 12 new people and I believe we were at 7 or 8 at the beginning of this month looking at now. I mean, if they're still there or not, but we're already doing a whole lot better than last year. And I think it's because we're working a whole lot better with the prosecutor's office. We're also working to identify people through our pretrial and JCAT program. So kind of looking when someone starts a pretrial or in that JCAT, hey, this person might be great for drug court, which then is also, so then Jessica, a lot of times, if they're in that JCAT, can then help them get into those assisted living or places like that before they even are out. So that's really helpful as well.
No criticism, I just have a couple
No,
of
you're
questions.
totally
to your
fine.
Budgeting at all, because I don't like to micromanage.
You're totally fine.
I just had a question, because I'm comparing to last year.
Sure.
And, did you state that your training was reduced from last year?
No, sorry, this was, I should have said that better. This was our 2025 budget. So
Okay.
what I did was I reduced that training budget last year and we just made that the same. this
Okay.
year.
Because I looked last year, it was 10,000, this year it's 17, which I'm full, like, on with training is important, so I just,
No,
the other thing that I had a question about is, on JCAP program, I know a lot about it, but I'm sorry, is it funded through a grant that was written specifically for that? Because I noticed a change in Jessica, or the program director's salary there's an increase in, there's no other increases on salary other than the reductions, because you plan to move those people out. And I was looking at that.
yes.
So is that true? Am I thinking right?
You are correct. So, JCAP is a specific grant with, money from here, money from the county and money from Bethany. So Bethany Legacy had built in those salaries for
Okay.
all 3 years.
And remind me too, how many years is that grant for?
So this is the last, we will have to apply coming the next year. So yeah, it's technically 3 years is the grant. However, we didn't start running the program until last year.
Right.
So we're hoping to, with partnerships and looking into like utilizing Tiffany. I'm really bad about this. Starting off the day, great guys, sorry. Utilizing our peer recovery coach, with JCAT members as well. So we're going to look to try to cut costs there or supplement some of that salary with some of those additional funds that we didn't use that first year.
Perfect.
Sorry, that might have been too verbose.
Let me see. I noticed that you reduced your, office equipment by 3,800. Did you eliminate a piece, or
So
how did you manage?
So last year, when we had additional funding, basically cuts from different funding before.
Mhm.
So we utilized that and bought a lot of computers. So that's why our budget was a little higher. And so then I was like, we don't need those computers. So that's why I cut it.
That's my own. Thank you.
No, yeah.
So I was right about the population, but explain to me about the net tax and the age in the 34.
I don't know enough about it, in all honesty, but I can get you a better breakdown of that. I mean,
That's just an overview of why they would put us in those 78 counties. You said it was 14
14 that got,
that got the funding.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not high enough, is that what they're saying?
that's what I'm assuming is that we are funded, that they are saying we are overfunded for what our numbers are.
Okay.
Because based on their calculations, we should only get $333,000 based on that. They're also going off, this has been in play for many years, and that per capita they're going off of is 2021, 2020. I'm like, on COVID numbers, which
Right.
is not accurate. And I can say too, just as far as, so the Indiana Association of Community Corrections, ICAC, I'm going to their summer conference. The Rush County director, Ashley Stevens, has kind of been a mentor to me, and she is advocating very hard. We are working to get to have a voice in in government as far as getting people to lobby for us and things like that. So we've also paid in on that with additional dues, hoping that that may be an extra voice in the government to help us get additional funding. I know that doesn't matter right now, but we are working on those. I'm going up at the end of this month to that summer assembly because IDOC and IFCS will be there as well. So hopefully I'll be able to come back with some additional information. Sorry if I went over my time, everyone.
I've been
Good enough.
thinking like how we can try to alleviate this from every year. It seems like there's a huge need for us to
Mhm.
try to catch something. So whenever I look back at the probation department in county general, we have had the same amount of people in that department as long as I can remember. So it might be something to think about at some point to pay a couple of those from county general funds. And that could help offset, and then maybe we could move something from general elsewhere. But at least you would know that we have enough because of the amount of people that they're assisting obviously has went up since 2006, whenever I started here, but we have never increased that position load. So just something to think about, and then hopefully it would help them in future years not have to scurry as much.
We did raise, so we raised our fees this year. So, you know, because the only way to help with cuts is to either reduce workforce or increase revenue. So that was another thing that we did. We had not increased fees in over 10 years. So we did increase our monthly charges, our monitor charging and things like that to help bring in some additional revenue.
I got us too, just because it was a hot topic issue there for a little while. Obviously, the building rental, that was something I know, some council commissioners specifically were taking a look at, and a lot, and yeah, I just was curious, obviously, that's still budgeted 60,000, but
So I had to sign.
discussion of would it be a detriment to be on the hill? Yeah, lots of options being thrown out, but.
We'll be anywhere and find them. I don't care. But yes, I think, you know, that would be a huge $60,000. And that's just for this year. Next year, it goes up an additional 200 a month. So,
And that- we signed that lease though, and how many years is it?
5.
Yeah,
And
we signed.
He
it
gave us a
last year.
3 and a 5-year lease that we had to sign for this, for last year. And 3-year lease, nobody had any buildings. And I was very worried
Because
about.
we had looked at the extension office
Mhm.
and we just didn't feel like there was enough security, privacy.
The issue is you have juveniles
Yes.
inside
You
of
got
town.
juveniles.
I really wanted
Yes.
Neo Muncie, but I mean, I'm glad that the resource
Yeah.
there,
Sure.
but that would have been nice as far as sight and sound and juveniles and
Mhm.
adults.
Rather than just purchase another building.
And I don't know
Yeah.
honestly the amount that Mr. Breeding told the commissioners that it would be to buy the building, but I know they were not interested at that
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
but it's another tournament, yeah. Stomaching.
Every year it goes up 200.
Every year when that could be housed in a county owned building.
Yeah, and that's-
If we have the extra space.
That's a salary. I mean, that's more than that. So yeah, that would be.
Mhm.
And he, you know, and Mr. Breeding has been very nice, and he always says, if you guys don't want to, I have numerous people behind him. So I feel pretty confident.
And I think there was
Here.
another building that we looked at that was,
So I know we looked at with the annex building,
Uh-huh.
and then we looked honestly in the jail, in the old
Mhm.
jail.
Yeah.
Jason was reviewing that one,
Mhm.
and then that's the only ones I was.
I think
looking
there was another building and there was,
at. But I wasn't, yeah, I don't think I was,
yeah,
I got to do it forever.
there would have been too much money to put into it.
Yeah.
it just wasn't a.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Does it help us upstate? Now that we have the juvenile facility coming.
I think that will help us as far as bringing in additional revenue
Oh, I do too.
and resources.
Oh, I
We're
do.
driving to Lake County all the time.
Huh?
No.
And there's no, you know, and I mean,
No,
and I get it, their
No.
funding is different and there isn't, you know, juveniles are not detained.
I mean, yeah.
But it's-
I was 5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute.
Yes, no, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's not, we push that.
Mhm.
You know,
It's too bad they can't get costly gas
I just
and it's,
wondered.
Well, and
$1,200 a month.
$100 an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
The whole building. Yeah, so. For house. With all not for profits. Sorry, didn't mean to bring up the rent.
no, I'm an open book. So I mean, if I don't know or I do, I'm gonna tell you. It is
We
what it
tried.
is at this point. I know.
There just wasn't anything available.
There wasn't. I mean, and then when, I don't, again, like I said, I don't know what number he told them, but I got a very quick answer that that's not something. that worked.
So we got a couple more years left on that lease.
Yeah, we do.
So we got a couple years to figure out something.
We do. And I mean, and that's why I budgeted this year because I think we'll have $2,500-ish cushion with that. Just additional things, like we're getting it sprayed, so we've got that out of ours.
So it's 5,000 a month, right now it's going up another $100 a month.
Next year, it'll go.
That's just the effort,
Yeah.
okay.
It's just.
Do you have an idea of an optimum location that would?
Well, we looked out, venture out too.
Oh, venture out.
Cause she brought that up, yeah.
Ideally, I would say in all honesty, if I'm looking at for the people we serve, it's better to be closer to where they're going to be
Mhm.
released. Now, sometimes that's jail and sometimes that's the courthouse. But to be able to have somewhere where a lot of people can walk to, that's. That, and then, like I said, I mean, cause wherever we are, as far as everyone else getting there, that is what it is. But,
Another main location in a satellite
Oh,
office
there's
somewhere,
It's up, it's
I
bad.
don't know.
I mean, that's kind of what we do right now. So juveniles in the annex building and then all the adults in the other one. But and that could be too, I mean, you know, if it was like pretrial or things, the satellite office somewhere else, yeah.
Okay, good, thanks.
I'm not opposed to any of it, just whatever can help us keep going. Anything else? I rambled a lot, guys, sorry. It's the beginning of your morning and.
No.
No, thank you, thank
We
you.
do it coming, yeah.
So if there are additional things, I will email that out. I don't know if you want me to send it to Heather, but just the listing that he has of all of the funding there.
Yeah, just send it to Heather and she can.
Sure. Sure. But yeah, and I'll just keep updating you guys, after I go to that, especially that summer assembly and see if there's anything, but. I'll keep you
When's
guys-
that gonna take place?
That's the 26th, I believe, 25th and 26th, and
This month?
yes, sir. That's up in Indy, so
Maybe you can corner one of those guys and talk to them
Yeah.
face to face.
yes, so Ashley, will also, like I said, she's the president and she's encouraged every director to be there, so hopefully we'll really have good numbers.
Maybe by September, we'll know a little something.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys.
Can you leave that?
Thank you.
Oh, I was like, my people?
Don't make me-
He's got a big calendar today. so-
Oh.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you guys. I
Everything
appreciate you guys.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm
If you want a friend, you gotta have some treats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Twyla's
We're not
his
a-
favorite.
We're using names. There is an employee at the treasurer's office.
Forgot.
They're best friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
She's got treats by the bucket.
Oh, yeah.
Like a treat, and then he
Yeah.
comes over and sees us.
See ya.
We're just trying to.
we'll remember that next year, DJ.
Yeah.
Right.
Hi,
Yes.
our next is not here yet.
No.
People think you.
Oh, that's awful. I'm sure he's sick. I know. Yeah, come back here. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good news, bills. Oh, hey, you scared, well, my bills, yeah, you scared. You scared. She's 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Devin, and he didn't come last year.
Right.
Devin.
I emailed him and he was on the email, they
I'll be praying.
confirmed, so I think Devin is planning on attending. But that being said, if you guys wanted to look through after a break, if he's not here yet. There are a couple departments that are not coming,
Yeah.
that we could always squeeze in, and then we'd have more time this afternoon.
They will be taking.
I don't have in my notes
Yeah.
Devin's
Trouble is.
budget number.
Devin is 271,
She's already using
and his is exactly the same.
FMLA. Did she take FMLA? Like
If-
FMLA intermittent because it's her sibling, so.
Raymond.
Mhm.
Her brother.
I mean, sibling. Brother, yeah.
Brother.
Mhm.
So, I'll let her do that.
They should.
She's checking on that.
They should. I can't speak for them, but I mean, it's the government, they're more lenient than corporations.
Supposed to be right.
The money.
Yeah. Laura's in there once this year.
Oh, yeah. Sandy appreciated your advice on ice cubes and parchment paper and
We were talking bread and more down this morning.
not spendable time, the edible time.
So you put ice cubes in it?
Yeah, no, it's like if you're using a Dutch oven, like whether you explain how it's hard to paper, keep some ice fingers with that. Oops, that's fine. Little crust, but
Sticky
sometimes
crust.
it's chewy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember who told me that, I saw that. Yeah, I brought my.
Do you have sling? I still use parchment paper.
I use both, which is probably wasteful, but, I feel like we just. Yeah.
I know what you mean by it being a little thicker sometimes on the bottom, but I haven't had mine burned yet. I made 2 months yesterday.
He still burns it, but sometimes. I don't know.
Well, I
just started
Give it to
with
the
that.
kids.
Yeah, I mean, does Michael still eat it? That's what she said. She still eat it anyways.
Yeah, I didn't like wrapping mine
I
and
know, Toast.
put it in a plastic bag, so I have a beeswax bag to keep it crusty, you know, it's not like, I really like that.
Planning ahead is good, which is, right?
How do you store yours?
Wow.
He's
And-
eager to get
Jump right in the
the.
hot seat.
Brown paper bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have that with me, so don't ask any complicated questions.
Morning.
Morning. We were hoping you'd bring one of your dogs with you.
No, I brought my tie, my dog tie. They're asleep, I assure you.
Okay, and for new, people new to this, his budget is 40% reimbursed by the state.
That's 0271.
Yes.
0271. And this was on
Talking about my way to get on it.
I'm like. So. To be honest, for some reason, I have not been able to learn all these locations really good, because it switched around. Oh, the others were so embedded in my mind. Years of it.
And I know he didn't have an increase in budget. I don't know what all questions everybody has. I was just going to, brag. I have the pleasure of sitting on the public defender board. Can't even remember if I have a couple more years left in this term, I think, but, I've learned a lot and it's an enjoyable board to sit on. And I just wanted to brag that Devin does a great job, now even compared to previously not having the chief PD position there. Just the efficiency of our, reimbursement, that all things reporting, that have to be sent in and staying on time with those and also staying within contractual limits for the public defenders and not being over where you could get a hand slap or jeopardize funding from the state. I just have to brag on Devin and his small crew of staff that are making that happen, and that we're very, very blessed. I know we talk often about Little is amazed that a few counties even that didn't even take advantage of this and jump on board with this, which why would you not? And this county really has been financially blessed. And then, yeah. I know it sounds like from everything I've learned, a shortage of attorneys, so it's hard. There are a lot of attorneys that could make more money elsewhere, not serving in a PD position, and he's done a great job of keeping those public defenders happy. And holding them to some complaints we heard before. Inmates saying, my public defender hasn't come to meet with me, and just, I don't know, I've been extremely impressed with the improvements that Devin's made, since being in this position, so I just wanted to brag on you.
Thank you.
Not having an increase in your budget this year, it's a blessing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I will give a quick, just on the way the numbers are, the reimbursements are turned in quarterly. We have one due next week. We've already submitted it, and we had an audit. We have an audit for the second quarter every year. That audit's been submitted already also, so, the quarterly, we receive roughly between 70 and I'd say 65 and $85,000 a quarter back from the county. Typically it's right around 75,000. It comes back to the county from the reimbursement submissions. We are well within compliance as far as the attorney to case ratio. We did have we had another drug bust, quote unquote, that triggered a lot of appointments again this year, but with the lack of contractual attorneys, we've had plenty of room in the budget to pay hourly to the attorneys that we've had to appoint. We had to find roughly, I think, 23 attorneys again this time. Luckily, I had done it a few years before, so I still had the list. So I just hit a few people again, and they did that. So yeah, we've done pretty well. But as far as compliance and budget perspective, we're not asking for any increase at all. And I imagine we'll transfer some to either circuit or Superior Court like we did last year at the end of the year when they need a little funding, depending on what it's for. And working with David and all three of the judges, it also makes our jobs easier. We had a part of I don't know if David talked about this or not, or if you've even met with him. Oh, he's next. But one of the issues we had with this last drug bust, with technology today, the amount of data that comes into a case is staggering. This latest drug bust, it was close to 6 terabytes of data that each public defender had to receive. So David's office purchased, and he'll probably talk about this, but I think he came to the council even to ask for the funding for this, but he purchased for the state police a duplicator so that they could buy hard drives and then duplicate them really quickly. Our office, public defender's office, bought the drives and the readers so that the PDs could, get the information more quickly. Because that was one of the complaints we had from our last drug bust, was it took forever to get data from the state police to the prosecutor's office to the PDs. So we learned a lot from that, and we're prepared this time. So I had to buy close to 30, 6 to 8 terabyte hard drives and readers. But the good thing is I bought these little, I did it kind of like the county does. You buy those little property stickers, and I went through and inventoried everything, so I know where everything's at, and told everybody they need to bring them back, because they're $150 a piece. So everybody was fine with that. The PDs that we have on contract, I told them to bring them back, and I'll get them cleared, and then we'll use them again as we need to. Because as long as they take care of them, they said they could last 4 or 5 times as far as rewriting over the data. So that was the biggest expense we had this year so far, was that. But I hope it's not an annual thing. As far as equipment goes, but the way data is, phone calls, videos, Facebook messages, Snapchat, GroupMe, TikTok, everything that they post things on, and we got to get the data. So
That is mind boggling. You said 6 terabytes for each?
yeah, for each defendant. Yeah. There's 23 of them. We don't need to talk about a data center, but there's a lot of data.
So you think about 1 terabyte for your own personal use?
Yeah.
I've
got 2 terabytes on my,
uses that.
I've got 2 terabytes in my Google account. I'm at 7%. And that's got pictures and email. So anyway,
Unbelievable.
that's the biggest expense we've had. I don't anticipate that to change. We do have I have an annual subscription to Dropbox. We thought that was going to be a way that we could get information transferred, but it just takes too long. It's a little clunky.
So maybe everywhere would.
So I'm gonna probably cancel that. And then I tried OneDrive. because it's pretty secure and we already pay for it through the county. That was too slow also, just to get it from one place to the next. Yeah,
The pipe's too
Yes.
small.
yeah.
It's-
I made it.
It's helped, yeah, it's not.
Uh-huh.
That's why we ended up just going back to the old fashioned, just duplicator and move on, so. As far as that goes, and we do have Alcorn's office or West Sixth Law hired a new attorney this year, and I think he's gonna come on as a contractual part-time. David Knox, I think we're gonna add him in October to try to fill a void, so. I think that's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? I want to reiterate the folks that I work with, obviously at the auditor's office, they're great, and then, the judges and the prosecutor and I will get along really well, which I think people have a misconception for why that's a good thing. Me being able to communicate with the prosecutor is a good thing, I think, and the judges too.
I've said the same thing countless times. Our judges, our prosecutor and PD to, not that you're always all on the same page,
Yeah.
but to professionally work well together and the efficiency of our court system now compared to before.
Yeah.
Our county's blessed.
Oh, no, we did buy a TV in the courtroom for presenting, trials. That's got like a touch board. Me and, David split that within our budgets. But it's like it can be used in either for trials or contested hearings. I know it's been used at least 3 or 4 times in the last year, but just
Way we do it.
yeah, for exhibits, because the TVs, our courtrooms are set up okay, but for technology, they're a little tricky. I'm working with, Judge Moat to do there's a grant through the state to do a technology grant. And, I don't know if he talked about that when I saw he was here, but there's a grant that they can upgrade technology. I don't know if you want to go see a really nice technological courtroom, go to Dearborn County, that new judicial area they have. Those are pretty slick. So I think we're looking at some technology upgrades for the magistrate's courtroom and.
You're gonna have to shield your cabling and all that, so it
Right.
doesn't get picked up, but, yeah.
That's the next, I think that'll be the next stage, is working on the technology within the courtrooms. All right, thank you all. If you ever need anything, just call.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good day. Thanks.
That's just me trying to sound smart.
I don't even about turn lights on. It's
unusual.
We're running ahead of
As
schedule.
aside, did you guys hear that the transformer blew up at the high school and they're sending kids home? So today's a 96, whatever it's supposed to be. So all the AC's off, all the computers are off there. He said it's gonna take hours. So about 8:45, they'll start sending the car riders. and
Dismissing
the
them.
Buses are gonna bus them back.
We didn't have air conditioning when I was in school.
Well, we.
Yeah, those windows slide open in the high school, right?
Yeah, well, back in the
Those
day,
internal rooms, though, get
93.
pretty toasty.
Yeah.
when I first
remember.
came, they had the whole bank of Easy Bake Oven windows
Mhm.
with these thick, like blackout curtains. And even then, when you got the 100-degree weather, we went home early. Because it was pretty much.
The only thing we use computers for was the Oregon Trail. When I was,
What was it?
or the Oregon Trail.
Oh, yes, I remember that exercise, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say that was the only thing you used. Some of us have been nerds for 40+ years.
Maybe a nerd, but I'm not a techie nerd, so there you go.
Math nerd.
Yep. My kids are nerds too, but
So I've, as a retired teacher and sometimes still in the classroom, I've always been an advocate. When we went with the devices, I said, where's the textbooks? Where's the help for the parents? Where is it where you can go without having to go through 43 screens? We can flip back and forth and find information quickly, and it was a loss of skill. And of course, I got down checked because you're just a shop teacher. And what do you need to read for? You can read a rule. And I said, okay, gotcha. And so, I obviously now the studies have shown that, too much device, lowers their literacy and ability to write a cohesive sentence, which maybe need to speak. So I'm glad to see things getting right sized. It's gonna be interesting. I'd still substitute teach on Fridays, so we'll see how it is when, my phone's in class.
So I saw Devin pulling out, so I called him and made sure.
what they were ahead, so.
Good,
Figured I'd try to capitalize and.
Yeah, I'm already here.
absolutely.
It's just a
So-
challenge for a free society.
His first budget is in county general and it'll be location 9.
We see that one's the same as last year too.
Yeah, I do have a bit of a proposal. I'm not asking for more money, but I do have a proposal on that, for whenever you all are ready.
I'm going, I'm bracketing and having it. That's an artillery thing, you know.
It's about it.
If you shoot over, you shoot under, and you have whatever you need, shoot over to. Then she'll put it on target, rounds on target. Almost there, I'm at 8.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
That's what I was like. Yeah, this year. By then.
Are we ready for him?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Good again.
Like we were talking about. What services?
Oh, that's. All right, Mr. Sutter, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So first, starting with the county general department, the prosecuting attorney, the one ending in 09. I don't believe that I've asked for any additional money, but I am asking for maybe a bit of a change in where some of this money is going. So right now, and I think I got an email from Heather that we're not talking about individual names of employees here. Is that correct? That I'm just talking about positions. We have five prosecuting attorney positions in the office. So myself and the chief deputy, as well as due to the fact that we have a DOC facility here with over 500 inmates, the women's prison. Those 3 positions are covered by the state with the county supplement that you see here. But the bulk of the salaries are covered by the state. We have one pretty much exclusively county funded position that we have working on the criminal side. And then for the last several years, we have had one person that is a bit of a hybrid position that does both criminal and child support. So we also have the child support budget we'll get to later. And so the proposal that I would have is if you would see, I believe it would be the one ending or it's like 11330. The deputy prof position that is showing having $29,174. That's the portion of the county general budget that's combined with the 4D budget to pay for what is ultimately our 4D prosecutor. And then she does other kind of miscellaneous criminal and criminal initial hearings. Based upon that employee, where they are at in their work life, they would like to go part-time and just do child support only. And so I think it would be a good transition. I've got, and I didn't want to, I can email this out. I also have one printed copy. I didn't want to like make a whole bunch of printed copies, just some information to help kind of support my reasons why. What I would like to do with that money is our entry level position was one that we had a really difficult time filling. It was vacant for several months. We had not even a lot of applicants. And then a couple of the people that I interviewed and one I even offered a position to took a job in Clark County because it paid more. And so I have here in this proposal, what IPAC has put together is a prosecutor analysis report for the entire state. They do it every year. I just want to make sure you have it. So what they show is they use a weighted case measurement system similar to what the PDs use for like their case allocations to kind of say this is how many prosecutors you should have for the number of cases that your county has. So right now, we are showing a need for 7.98 total attorneys.
Right now, we have 5. You can see some counties are like way under and some are, right on average. So what's really kind of saying is, we have a workload to support 8 attorneys. We have 5, but I'm not asking for another position. I would just ask for a couple of things. One, the ability to use that money to potentially supplement that lowest tier position I have, just to be flexible when I'm hiring someone. Because the person that I initially offered the job to accepted a position in Clark, and he was very pleasant. He said, yeah, they're just gonna be offering, it was closer to between 95 and 100. I thought, well, then you should take that, right? I'm like, you shouldn't come here. You should take something that's better for you. But what it's showing, at least from that proposal or the analysis report that IPAC sent out, is right now the average deputy prosecutor salary, so excluding like the elected and chief deputy, which are set by the state at a different level, is at $99,749.82. So right now, our newly hired, that initial position is at $81,410, which is much better than it even was 10 years ago. But I would like just the discretion, not necessarily saying that I'm going to instantly raise that person's salary to that amount next year, but would like the ability to use some of that money to be able to be flexible in hiring in the future, because that's one that there is a bit of turnover in that new position. Just sometimes people, either get promoted or look at places in other offices and things of that nature. Additionally, I would like to use a portion of that money due to the vacancy that we had this year. We had a little bit of extra money or money that we had not expended. And you all approved for me to have a certified legal intern. And so that would be someone that has completed at least 2 years of law school, and they have to have the dean of their law school sign off on it, and then a supervising attorney, which in this case was me, sign off on it. That's the first year we've done it where we had someone who was a certified legal intern that we paid. And so what you all had approved was a total of $7,500. It was 10 weeks at $750 a week. And she's just been outstanding. Like, it's been a huge benefit to us because of her ability to do some complex legal research and just not have to go to court all the time the way the rest of us do. So she's been very helpful. And she's also gotten a chance to work on some pretty, interesting cases for someone in law school. So I think it's been mutually beneficial. And so what I would ask from that is essentially to still hopefully have that as an amount that I could utilize, the $29,174, but maybe have the $7,500 of that to be used for a certified legal intern or some type of program. And then additionally have some money that if I would need to in a hiring decision in the future, be flexible with. And then my understanding of if I don't spend that money, it would revert back to the county, and it would, if you all were to agree to do that. So
The 31165 legal services?
it would be the deputy pros, that 29,174.
So what's the 7,500 in legal services?
Those are just a variety of services that we have. So like if we have court reporters do depositions, if we need to get like transcripts of things from different proceedings, getting ready for trial. It can also be used for a variety of just other things that we need that are additional to like expert witness fees or other related types of things.
So the reason why you left the intern position 0 is because you want us to make sure that the prosecutor attorney summer intern at the bottom.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, that was, I think, just created as a one-time, like we had
So
extra
you
money.
want to continue it.
I'd like to continue. I would.
Okay.
I think it was,
So
it's been effective. I think then, some of the areas that it's the evolution of, I think like attorneys, even in Indiana, it's hard. There's a shortage, generally speaking,
Okay.
right now.
So just to be clear,
Yeah.
you don't want to take those funds from the portion of the county general when you're talking about the 11330, you want to add the line item back in for 7,500 for 2027.
Yes, and if it could come
Yeah.
from that 29,174, I wouldn't be asking for more money.
Reduce that line.
You could reduce the
29,000
29,174.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you are wanting to reduce, okay.
I want to reduce, yeah, so I would just say, I would want the 7,500 for an intern, and then I would love it if you would be willing to, or come up with something to allow whatever the difference, and I'm horrible at math, but the 22 or 21,000 that would be remaining after
Mhm.
that, to have just in the event I would need to supplement a salary. So then if I were to hire someone in the future and they were saying, hey, I was offered, 89,000 in Clark, could you raise the salary? I could say, hey, I do have some discretion to be able to do that if possible.
So the 21,674.
Right, so what I could do is I could create a line, or we probably already have something that's called supplemental. And we could move that 29, or the 21,674 into a line called supplemental, and then he could use it as he needed to supplement salaries.
Okay, I'm trying to follow the breadcrumb trail.
We just have to do a salary.
We'd have to redo
Change,
the
change,
salary
yeah.
ordinance whenever he made an adjustment.
And then just make that new line item.
Yeah,
So follow me, which position are you currently calling the lowest paid position, the deputy pros?
No, it would be right now, like that, what I would consider an entry level, I'm excluding child support from that, but the
Okay.
lowest one would be, right now, it's listed, I think, as like county share of an JI grant, but we no longer have that grant. We had a grant previously for a drug interdiction prosecutor where it was like a stair step, like they paid all of it for the first two, then 75, 50, 25. So now it's a fully county funded position, but it'd be that 81,410 would be like what I would consider like the entry level prosecutor position. The child support ones, those positions tend to be paid a little bit lower, but it's not uncommon for offices, especially offices in counties of our size, to have a part-time child support prosecutor. We used to in Jefferson County. And I think that I've got some data here that I'm just gonna, again, I can email it or just give this packet to Heather or Kristen to have, but our child support collection figures are good. And I don't think any of that will change. She will stay just exclusively doing the child support portion of the job. And then when she was covering like the miscellaneous criminal things like expungements and then doing initial hearings and things, we'll just absorb that with the other positions that we have.
So on the 81,410, you'd like to have some extra money, maybe from 11,330, just in case.
Just in
They
case.
want to take one of your guys we don't want to lose them over $7,000-8,000.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's one of those things too, I know that, and I'm sure in a lot of different ways that than what I'm feeling it, that you all are feeling it. It's when changes at the state level come down that affect us, right? So one of the biggest things, and I'm not trying to be negative towards others that get raises, but the entry level positions for DCS, which are state paid positions as well, they elevated those. Also, the legal positions within the Indiana State Police, so like ISP legal and DCS, they raised their bottom, and then it becomes tougher for us. So if you're coming out of law school looking to get a government job to potentially assist with, student loan repayment options, why not take that job if it's $10,000 more? And what that does then is it's like the same thing with law enforcement officers, right? So if
Yes.
ISP raises their rate, then sheriffs and police officers are gonna come to their local municipality saying, well, we're losing people to lateral classes, we need to raise ours too.
We
So this,
and then they go.
yeah, it's one of those, so it's one of those types of things where a similar process happens on other, areas, and that's what we're seeing. I would just like the flexibility, because I didn't like that, I know that they are bigger than us, but they do border us, and it's tough. If I'm competing with people all over the state, that's one thing. If I'm losing people to Clark County because of that, then I just wanted to have the option. But again, my intention would not be to necessarily utilize that or the max. It would be just having some discretion in the event that we had to do it.
Negotiate.
Yes.
To be clear too, with the salary ordinance, as hard as it is, we certainly have had other deputy, not attorneys, but our office amazing staff who are not paid what we all wish they were paid. Fighting supervisors, elected officials and others fighting for raises for our staff every year. We understand that, but I think just to make sure we're clear that this amount of money for you to have some flexibility if needed to compensate a potential new attorney to be able to keep someone versus, I guess I just want to make sure that other departments don't think, oh, great, now David can increase his office staff salary if he
Yeah.
wants to keep them because they threaten to go to a factory in town. when
No,
we
yeah,
can't
I'm not
open up
asking for
back
any
and
more
forth.
money here. I guess it would just be maybe potentially hoping to utilize the fact that I've got someone who is effective at child support, who is looking to go part-time. The other reason I would like to keep that line item would be, if in the future, if my current child support person who's looking to go part-time decides that she just wants to go full retirement, right? After a year or two, I want to be able to have some flexibility to say, oh, I'd like to now hire that as a full-time position again. I just think for right now, it could potentially be effective. Like, I don't want to come in here asking for additional county money. It would just be saying, if you were able to provide that flexibility, that where I think it could benefit us the most and what I've seen.
I don't have a problem with it.
Just give you that much.
And is that with this,
I don't have any other questions.
on this, I was gonna say, the 660, that's not in county general, is it?
Yes, it is.
It is, it's just, it's a separate, it's the 4D portion of that, and it's separate because of the reimbursement we get due to the child support numbers.
It's the last page in county
That's
services.
faster.
Oh, I gotcha.
0660.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to put the funds on top of each page, but
I love it.
it was a little, I had to reprint several times, but I forgot things.
More expensive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have any questions about the 4D
4D.
portion of our county general budget. I don't think I have any changes or anything from the previous year. I will say we are fortunate. We do have the fund, the 8897, which is the prosecutors, I think, the incentive budget that we can supplement if we need to. So if there are times where postage is one that just, there's certain things we have to send out that we can dip into the 8897 if we need to do that. Let's say just to brag on the 4D side of the office, in 2025, they collected a little over $2.5 million for Jefferson County families, which I think you know, not some counties get in the weeds about what that means from like, you know, an economic standpoint in our community, but that's $2.5 million that mothers, fathers, grandparents, guardians have received through the 4D services my office provides to be able to, you know, pay things like rent, electric, food, school supplies and things of that nature. So I'm proud of the work that they do. I know those of you who have been here for a long time, you know, understand, and I think the different performance metrics that we get graded on both at the state level and at the national level. And there are those 4 categories for those performance measures, and we have exceeded both the federal and state performance measures for 2025. And as of right now, their fiscal year, which is getting ready to end in September, we're already above in all 4 categories. So I think they continue to perform at the level they need to in order to make sure that we're getting the maximum amount of that reimbursement, which I'm bad at math and bad at that formula, but I think it comes out to about 2/3 of every dollar the county spends will come back to the county through that reimbursement, so long as we remain effective at the state and local level.
And above and beyond that, we even get some indirect expense back. That's what myself, David, Tabitha, and the courts all have contracts with Dossett Consulting, and then that's where we get that money back. Even a portion of my accounts payable salary is reimbursed and payroll is reimbursed because we indirectly fund child support.
Anybody have any more questions? Thank you. I also have Fund 1182, which is a pretrial diversion.
It's under all other.
Just as a reminder on that one, those are not taxpayer funds, but we need the appropriation from the county, and so these funds come from when pretrial diversion agreements are offered to first-time defendants on lower level offenses. There's a portion of that money that goes into the budget to help supplement our office. Yep.
Tell us with the significant cuts to community corrections. And knowing
Yeah,
what
so,
that's gonna look like. We've heard a lot and learned a lot from Ani, and some of us talked to Judge Morrow, so with diversion going back, so to speak,
Great
and
question, yeah.
obviously, appreciative of that, maybe sitting back with you, but knowing obviously your staff is already, filled with other duties that, and they're fearful, I think, there'll be some gaps in services, and even if you guys are handling some of the paperwork side of things, what do you predict, it changes there?
yeah, so I mean, candidly, I think what will end up happening is it will result in probably less overall diversions being offered by our office. So before, and this program started when Amber Finnegan, I think she approached me back in like 18 or 19 with an opportunity for a felony diversion program because there was grant funding available that they received. And then through that program, they were also supervising all, individuals that had misdemeanor diversions as well. And so the idea at that time was it was essentially going to be close to what probation would be for those individuals, just where they wouldn't necessarily get that conviction on their record if they completed successfully. And so we were probably more apt when court services was the one supervising them because they had programming and certain assessments that they would do, and they could dedicate a full-time position to being like a case manager for those individuals that were offered diversions. They likely had more programming. We are not in a position where we can offer any programming. So what will happen was I think we will revert kind of back to what diversions used to be like, where it's like hey, stay out of trouble, do some community service, and if you don't commit a new offense during this time, then ultimately this will get dismissed. But we're not in a position where we don't have my staff's not trained to do those types of assessments or offer programming. And so it will likely be more of what that will mean is we likely won't offer those to folks that need certain types of services. Most of them would be like lower level felony drug cases. But I think folks that still get marijuana misdemeanor cases, and then I think like first time thefts from places like Walmart where, we may be able to offer diversions in those contexts. I think it will result in fewer diversions being offered just because if someone was like a level 6 meth case, if the option was a diversion where they really have no supervision or put them on probation where they do, we would probably opt to do probation. We don't have the ability to call people in for drug screens. It's just not something that we're in a position to do. And so it's a great question. I don't know the real answer other than I think it will result in potentially fewer, especially on the felony side. We probably won't offer a lot of felony diversions just because we don't have the ability to supervise them. Because they had, at court services, they had a dedicated person to manage that caseload, and he managed it almost like he was managing a probation caseload, which was probably what they would need. And it's easier for us, not saying like to sell, but to tell someone, hey, we're offering these diversions, but it's not like they're just, getting nothing. They're getting all this programming. They're just getting a chance to maybe not saddle themselves with a conviction that would hurt their employment opportunities in the future.
Exactly.
Right.
Do you think something like that, maybe a diversion caseload personnel, someone dedicated to that, would pay for itself?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to look at the breakdown. The diversion, there are statutes spelling out like what percentage of those funds go where, but I do think that I think it was effective when it was in place. I just don't know. I know when they were looking at, what they did get funding for and didn't, that was an easy one to cut just because we did have experience doing it and we could go back to kind of what we had before. But I think now it puts our county in a spot where we're offering less than what we were able to offer before.
And really, if they're on probation, they still have to monitor them.
Right, I mean, it's just a matter of where, they would incur probation user fees and there would be a different, they would hopefully have some funding to be able to offset the cost of supervision there, but it's, we don't know. I don't know if we have enough to tell yet, but that would be my intention would be, depending on their risk level at initial hearing, we may not offer as many felony diversions as my best guess.
They have no other changes to this budget.
8897.
Where's that at?
It's in all others,
Okay,
yeah,
8897, did you say?
8897, it's a phone
The
number, not a
second from the
location,
back.
yeah.
There's just two in them.
The books went together a little easier this year, but it's every year, it seems like with this bigger.
And a decrease in the full-time clerk.
It. It's the same, the 11,991.
Why had that been at 16,130? No.
Oh. Well,
So what I had done last year, I think when I came and was discussing potentially, so because we get that reimbursed. Anything coming out of 8897 is our incentive that doesn't get reimbursed. And so before, I think, when that was at one point a part-time position, it was a full-time position coupled with. Funds that are in the county general with the 4D one and that 660 or whatever that one ends. I asked last year to maybe increase the amount of that salary that comes out of county general just because we get reimbursed that money. And I didn't want to bleed 8897 down too low based on the money we get back in. So I had discussed last year, I think potentially like maybe
instead
over.
of it being a 50-50 split.
Right, maybe because of, we would get reimbursed money out of county general, we won't get reimbursed money out of 8897.
And Heather, what do you show as like the balance today for that?
For 8897,
I pulled it this morning, and I don't know if I got it in front of me. I'm showing that we're showing a cash balance of $12,788.04. So again, we spend out of it, when the incentive money comes in, it goes in there. I was just wanting to try to not maybe spend as much out of it.
which at this point, we haven't touched that salary yet because we do that after we run out in county general, essentially. But he's right, it's 12,788. 12,788. And it looks like we've brought in $12,038 so far this year.
Two, 400.
2400 is the infraction deferral budget, so this generally goes for traffic or traffic related expenses. In the past, I think it asked for a $5,000 allocation, I believe, out of there. We've used it in the past to help supplement when they do like operation
Right.
pullover to help
Yes.
supplemental salaries.
Mhm.
There's also a portion that my office contributes towards flock cameras, which I know to some
Oh,
people
yeah.
are controversial, but they are very beneficial in law enforcement related investigations. It's helped us solve murder
You wouldn't
cases.
believe how many people are now.
They're against, yeah. I will tell you.
No, they're like, they didn't realize that they
That we had them,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it is beneficial technology. I understand that there's a bit of a big brother type of, pushback. Kind of my position as well, but we've got a murder trial coming up in September, and a big part of that was we were able to locate the murderer in Oxford, Ohio, thanks to the use of flock cameras, like, so, I mean, it is. I'm with you, right? I mean, don't break the
Well,
law.
if
and,
anybody
yeah,
hates me, maybe
yeah.
you'll find me.
Right, I mean, my guess is if you,
Right, I think.
If you
have to
track-
Look at the benefit.
if you track my plate, you see me running to a lot of sports practices after school and taking kids to various different events. You wouldn't see much else, but it is certainly beneficial, and a portion of that we've used to help, because I know the sheriff's office and the police department put forth money to pay for those cameras.
Thought about that one day, cause I left work, I went like to Scottsburg, and then I went to get feed in Greensburg, and then I cut over to Columbus, and I think I drove by like 15 flock cameras, and I thought, they think I'm crazy.
Wherever you're going.
Yeah, that would
Where
mean
is
every
this lady
day.
going?
Batesville, Connersville.
It's probably going up. They used to say you're, every day you're on maybe
Then over
29
to
different
Brookville.
cameras.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe that's between ring cameras.
There you go. That's why I don't drive.
Smile.
Where you are.
But I've got, so here with me, I have just some additional data and some things that I referenced. I'm just gonna leave a copy here. I can email it out if anybody wants it. It would be more just as a reference. So what I've included here, and a bulk of what this is, 90 some pages, is that IPAC study that shows not just attorneys, but staff allocations for offices. Again, I kind of take it with a grain of salt for what it is. Some offices are in our state are really understaffed, and some of them are right where they need to be, and some of them are slightly understaffed. But I just wanted to provide it since I have it. I do have just some statistics based upon our caseload allocation and what our courts are dealing with. I will say this, I know this is designed for me and not necessarily for our judges or chief public defender. They have their own times with you, but I will tell you that I think things are running very smoothly and very effectively right now. And I think that everyone involved in the system should get credit for how we're doing. We do not have a case backlog the way some counties do. Occasionally, I am appointed as a special prosecutor due to conflicts in other counties that cause me to go there. I'll just casually look at their dockets that they have posted on their bulletin boards. And some of them have cases that are still pending from 2018, 2019, which here it's just that's when a system and not being critical of anyone ever in the past. We've seen some of that stuff before. We had a courthouse fire, we had COVID, we've had, judges that have, differences in how they run their dockets. I'm just only speaking for what we have right now. Our judges are very efficient. They don't let cases get stale. Our public defenders are doing a good job of staying up with their caseload allocation as well. And so I think that that is effective. At least from my perspective. I have here also in this is bragging a little bit on our office. The DOC puts out data on DOC commitments. And again, I understand that there's good and bad with what percentage of your population that you're sending to the Department of Correction. But in a job where oftentimes community safety, in our opinion, in certain cases does require us to send people to prison and ask of that from our judges. Out of all 92 counties, Indiana was 10th in overall number of individuals that we sent to the Department of Correction for last year, and we had the highest per capita rate in Indiana. That's the second year in a row we've had it. So I think it's a testament to the effectiveness of our programs. Going back to court services, a lot of these necessarily aren't initial people that we're sending. They've been given opportunities to stay in our community and they squander those opportunities. So I think Ani and her crew are very effective at their supervision. I also think our judges right now don't have a tolerance for if you've given a second chance, been given one to stay in our community with this programming and you just refuse to participate or you still commit new offenses, they don't have any reservations about holding them accountable and sending them. And so, again, I know that some people could look at that as a negative. I don't. I think if you look at some counties, and I'm not trying to be super specific, but
It
if you
sends a message.
I think it sends a message. I also think if you look at if you look at the numbers here, from a percentage standpoint, if you look at where Marion County's at, I'm not trying to like throw a lot of shade at their direction, but I think some of the problems that some of these counties have is that they're not holding people accountable. And so I think that our system here is working from an efficiency standpoint and from an effectiveness standpoint. And this is, again, the second year in a row that we've had that highest level percentage. And at least I do view that as something that we are proud of. I have the 4D information here as well. And then I just have a letter that I've written to you all, just detailing the request of kind of why I'm asking for the money in the county general to still hopefully be appropriated in that same amount, just maybe in a couple of different categories to help support, the potential salary increase or negotiation assistance that I might need in the future. And then also to help support what I would like to start as a certified legal intern summer program that I could then take to some area law schools because it's just been really effective. Not really, not that I was surprised of how effective it was. It's just the student we have right now, she is very bright and she is doing an excellent job and she just has the time available, not going to court to be able to do stuff. So some things that might take me a week to get around to, she can do in an afternoon. And of course, there's a process where we'll look over it and we'll edit it, but I'm like, this is tremendous. And hopefully something that can benefit the county and then also maybe benefit someone else and maybe have an unintended consequence of when we are looking to fill positions in the future, potentially having somewhat of a pipeline, right? To say, hey, we know that they're good, we know they've been here before, are they interested in maybe working here full time?
Keep them here, yes.
And so that would be the real proposal that I would have, again, not asking for more money, 'cause I know that you all are almost tasked with an impossible task of having to fund an entire county, which it seems like with, you know, fewer dollars, and things I know that happened at the state level that's affected you all at the local level. But, I appreciate, the support we've had in the past, and if you all have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I just think it's great how you all work together. That causes a decrease in stress and an increase in efficiency with you guys having those kind of relationships with each other.
I think it's worked well, and again, it's an adversary system, so we're not always going to agree.
Sure.
But I think, understanding, you know, how the other operates is helpful to be able to say, look, we can streamline which cases we can get resolved and which ones are going to trial, and it's, I think it's worked, very well since the time we've had that position as, you know, public defender, administrator, or chief PD here. It's been helpful.
Kind of fascinated by, I never processed this when you mentioned that you may get called in on an out of county case, you know, you think
Sure.
somebody that's high profile, well known, there's a reason why that may not stay in this court system, that may, a prosecutor from another attorney may be called in, or that may taken elsewhere for a good reason. I guess I'm gonna think about Dud, maybe neighboring counties or areas that need the same thing and might need, so, I mean.
It goes both
Your
ways.
discretion, meaning if you just can't, you know, you got 3 counties saying, can you help us, and you can't, you're just gonna say no, I mean, it's your.
Yeah, so how it generally speaking works is, so conflicts can work a couple of different ways. So one, if there is an actual identified conflict, right, where it's like you just can't do it, it's a family member, right? So if you have a relative or you have someone that, you know, that you should not be prosecuting because of that conflict. There are also situations where to avoid an appearance of impropriety, right? So sometimes it's not maybe an actual conflict, but it would look bad, right? Like, hey, that person used to, you know, work for a relative, or you don't want to be seen as giving preferential treatment for someone. You can request a special prosecutor in the court. If they sign that, will then look at a surrounding county to do so. So I get calls from other counties. I've even, you know, gotten them as far. I went to Morgan County last year on a case where there was an attorney that was charged with the crime, and everyone in the system that had worked with that attorney felt like they couldn't do it. They also felt like even the surrounding counties, it was going to be a conflict. And so, Tim Denby was the detective with the state police that had worked with us before. He had recommended, he goes, well, would you do it? And I said, sure. I rarely turn them down just because I don't, you know, it's tough when people turn yours down. So I like to, if I have the time to do it, I will typically say yes, unless I also have some type of conflict myself. But generally speaking, it's going to be like your neighboring counties for the most part. So it's like maintaining good relationships with them.
Sure.
We've had cases here where due to someone's employment status or who they were, or, you know, whatever that relationship may be, we have requested a special prosecutor in those cases. And so a lot of times it's going to be like Switzerland, Ripley, Clark, like, no, you know, you pick up the phone and say, hey, would you be willing to do this if the judge were to appoint you, and go from there. There was talk at some point in time about, like, through IPAC having like a group of senior special prosecutors up there. That's not taken off yet, but there was some talk at some point about that time as to like doing a more streamlined process. It's really easy to find someone when you have like a couple of cases. What becomes harder was like when I took office in 2018, I had a whole list of people that either I was representing or people in my firm were representing that I was conflicted out of. And then we hired one senior prosecutor to handle all of those conflicts. If you don't do that, like right now, like the way this election cycle goes, all sheriffs and all prosecutors are all up at the same time. At the last IPAC board meeting, I think they're looking at either 27, depending on how the election goes, right? 27 to 33 new prosecutors will be in office, because some folks retire, some folks run for judge, some folks get beat in an election, and then new people come in. If those folks were in private practice, right, they may need a lot of conflicts right away. And so the thought was, if they employed them at the state level, they could just say, hey, you know, we have these 27 counties that have new prosecutors that we may need you to help with some of their conflicts. Sometimes though, they come in and it at the outset kind of burdens folks from other counties, right? To say, hey, will you take these 10 cases? And like right now, Jennings County is going to get a new prosecutor, Jason Judd, who practices here. He's running unopposed. And so you know, assuming it goes the way he thinks it will, he will step in. He's done criminal defense work in Jennings County. And so there'll be a group of people that he will not be able to prosecute because he represented them. They'll need to find special prosecutors for those cases. So sometimes it happens just.
Here?
He's with Joe Jenner and Devin Sharp, and they have a standalone office right there by the pool in Jennings County, right, the little sign by the roadway, but
By the city,
he splits time at both offices, but I think that those are the type of situations where you might have like the need for someone to take on a lot of cases. Most of the time we see things like because of who it is, you know, if we've got relationships with them or there's some reason not to, a lot of times just to avoid an appearance of impropriety, right? You don't want someone to say, well, you're only doing that because they worked for here, right? Because, you know, whether it's another county employee or whether it's, you know, whomever it is, right? You get out of those cases. And it can be on the child support side too, right? Someone that
Oh, yeah.
in this community is getting a divorce and you might say, hey, I'm not the person that can do that because of we work with them in some other area.
Mhm.
You know, those situations are gratis. When, let's say you have to go to, another county, and then, in essence, we're paying your time. They don't reimburse or do anything of that.
They reimburse for expenses. So like, they're not charging us like for their salary for when they're covering my cases, and I won't charge them for theirs. But if I'm like traveling somewhere, or in the Morgan County one, I had to stay overnight to meet with victims the night before and had an early morning sentencing hearing, we charge that to their counties for reimbursement. What is usually gonna be like a mileage of food or any other related travel expenses or those type of thing. And some do more than others, like Rick Hurdle in Ripley County, he's been doing it for so long, he's an effective prosecutor, he gets a lot of those, so you know, yeah, but he's been in a lot of different counties in the state doing it, so. Any other questions or anything else I can try to answer? All right, hey, thank you. I'm gonna leave this here with Heather, that you guys, if anyone wants to reference it, if you want it electronically, I can send it out. But again, probably more just a reference than anything, but just wanted to make sure that you have that information. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hopefully I didn't throw you guys too far. You guys are cruising right along. All right.
Have a good day.
You as well.
Would be will help us more. Oh,
Wayne, you sounding a little froggy today. Are you under the weather?
No,
Okay, I just thought your voice earlier sounded a little froggy. You know, you were battling a cold.
I might be. What's that not being, I don't feel bad. I just got back from.
Yeah.
Yeah, be so hard, there's a grain. I'm still good.
Yeah,
I got it in the
and I swear I didn't mean anything by it. You know, when somebody looks at you and says, you feeling okay? Yeah, feeling just fine. You okay?
Look back.
No,
Now,
it sounded a little froggy.
Thanks for
No,
your, yeah.
no, I just thought you sounded like a little. 2 weeks, I bet that was enjoyable.
It was so much, it was so exhausting though. It was.
Oh, tempted to eat one of these donut things that are these down there.
I'll show you a picture. Yeah, there it is.
Oh.
I sacrificed, only took a glazed, so I left the fancy ones for you guys.
I need to get.
When you're an athlete, you gotta go with the glaze, right? Just one glaze.
Well, that doesn't apply in my case.
And much better than my banana, I just ate. Oh, yeah, oh. Let me grab my banana, actually, I feel bad. That's not bothered anybody. Okay.
Oh, look at all them. And I would love to have one, one grandchild. They're so cute. Look how little that thing. That's what I was gonna say. He does look like you. Look at this one. She's ready. Yeah. And then she was down. It was started. Ready. And then they had. She's like.
She's at that age or
Well, sure.
She's so fast.
Absolutely.
But anything she gets up, you know, it's over the head of.
Yeah. My kind of girl.
Oh.
Yeah, my kids just want to stay in college forever.
Well, that's good.
Degree.
Everything going on over.
At least I'm not paying for it.
Exactly. So good.
You were showing how fast he can train. And then, and watch the little thing, the second boy, we're just gonna take him on to this one, she don't wanna be left.
Oh, yeah, she wants to show off too.
I watch her, when she'll come out. Easy for that. There she goes.
You're good.
Look at that blonde hair. Oh, my gosh. I didn't have any questions.
Slid right in here.
So there's no change to the county general.
Right.
At all. For the new ones, it's the very first one in your county general tab.
Yep.
We will be sad to see you go.
Yes. we will.
Appreciate that. I'm excited.
Oh, no, you're right.
Very helpful down there.
Was there any, I didn't see any changes in any of your line items.
My election.
Oh, I didn't look that way.
So, and under all other 12-15. Service. And she has a letter there. And an invoice in front. Or, yeah. That's micro vote is what that's called. Yes.
Yeah, that's the election vendor that we use.
I had wrote book in the
Vote.
vote. And that service is just to upload to the state site, is that what?
So
We're gonna-
the invoice that you're seeing is for them to be fully involved throughout the election process, because I do so much without them. But it's the 10 years of knowledge that I've gained to be able to do that, and you're gonna have somebody new coming in, not having that knowledge.
Mhm.
She's gonna be very involved in this election. However, I'm guiding her and I won't be there to guide her next year. And I feel it's very important for her to have the option. I'm not saying she will spend it and go that route, but I wanted to set it up to where she can have them if she needs them.
And it has to be an all or nothing, if she so chooses to utilize that support, meaning, well, maybe I need a little bit of support, but not that.
So if you look at the invoice, which I don't have it in front of me, there's different sections.
Primary
that-
and general.
Yep. So you would have to do primary and general,
Yeah.
because they're gonna have to find the person to send to our county. Um,
And more likely, the smallest precinct tier.
Right. yeah, next year's gonna be a small election, so.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that, yeah, cause it goes up a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. It's just, there's things that, I mean, on election day, I'm going to polling sites and I'm fixing machines. She's not gonna have that knowledge. I don't wanna, I wanna set her up to
Mhm.
succeed, and that was a way for me to do that, was to get microvote more involved.
I couldn't believe it per day per person fee. $9.
Yeah, I've saved a lot of money for you guys over the years by not using them.
Yeah, that's,
I think she'll get comfortable. I don't think she'll need it her whole term. It's just,
But, oh, it says right here, I'll go further back, 12:15.
I mean, that's a valid, and well made point.
Oh,
Even if the support was needed for her first election cycle, that doesn't necessarily mean. that
using
it's-
them again.
Geo.
It's just to get her comfortable.
Yeah, it does.
I think that vendor on site is gonna teach her more,
So much more.
right, that 1 year of her having them will. It's just-
Maybe the timing as far as, like you said, it's not a presidential election year, it's not, I mean, just, yeah, the, it's like, yeah,
Just keep the learning curve of the smaller.
Cause she's going into a presidential after that. So
right, right,
next year's gonna be a good one.
yeah.
It's just city, it's, I think, 5 polling locations in total, so I mean. It would be a good one for them to be present and to guide her. I will tell you, election night was the worst election night I had in my whole career.
This past,
This past one,
Mhm.
yeah, cause the results.
wait, our primary, or you talking about last
Oh,
year?
yeah, no, this one, that's what really got me thinking. She doesn't need to be put in that situation, and microvote saved me. They didn't have to, but they answered my call and they were able to get in contact with somebody to help me get the results uploaded. I mean, nothing with our election, it was just getting the results into the state system. It would not go through, it would not go through. I had to manually enter every candidate's vote count. And then it didn't save, and so then we were starting over at 10 PM, trying to get it loaded. And if it wasn't from a microvote answering my call, I don't know what I would have done. So, and I started work at 4:30 that morning, so I didn't leave till 11 that night. It's a long day, and for somebody putting on their first election,
Yeah,
that would be very intimidating. So I just, after that, I tried to figure out a way to help her.
it was intimidating for you, and this ain't your first election.
100%. Yeah, this is my 14th election.
Wow.
So,
So you're gonna do a party too?
yes. 100%. But that was the only thing that I added, was to get them more involved this next election.
And in that. Right, that's not that 12:15, yes, yes.
Yeah,
That,
12.
yes, that current balance in 12:15.
1215 balance is, and this is a tax driven fund, so it receives, it will have another.
Disbursement.
Disbursement. Currently, it is at 128,531.
The clerk election stipend that's paid under this, it's just paid out once a year. I mean, cause obviously that's that flat, the 2,500,
Which one is it?
is that the very last line on the 11161.
Oh, so that is where they have made it to where if an election is held, the clerk gets that 25 after the general election. So
The
it's only,
average.
yeah, it's only paid on election year. So like in 25 with no election, it didn't come out. I don't know, did they do that last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah, cause last year you didn't get it, and then the very first year, we had to put it in midway through the year, I think.
That's why it's going
It
in.
was one of those July effective things.
Right. Does that vary by county size?
They did theirs at the same time that they put in the 2,500 for auditors for attending
Okay.
additional meetings.
Yeah.
You have 1119.
Yeah.
And that's just part of your fees, right, that you collect? Yeah, that's what.
You ever, I know it's been changed, obviously nothing been spent, next year, the rebinding records, how often? Do we,
There you saw it. Since we've got them stored and we've got them scanned, we're scanning them in, we're not rebinding them as much. I have pulled that fund like this year. We're gonna get another part-time person in to try to train to where when I leave, they can hopefully move into full-time. So I've moved some money around in this fund to put it into part-time so we have more. I think I pulled from that. Did I pull from rebinding?
so you don't,
I
feel- I mean, you don't feel like
remember
you can,
requests.
calendar year, you're gonna need to spend that.
Already
Okay, what's,
spent.
shouldn't say spend it, but would not for rebinding record purposes.
Correct. Mhm. I mean, that's gonna be for, I mean, our books are terrible. I don't know if you've seen them in the records room on, next to my office. I mean, there are some that are falling apart that eventually will have to be replaced or rebound. But I don't know when that would happen.
On the code voting machine, because we never budget that, we have that for the upgrade that you had been
Right.
doing. How are we on that aspect? Do we still,
I still have one more bill.
one more
to pay.
round, and how much will that be? Do you
I
remember,
wanna say it's 90.
90? Okay,
It's whatever we paid last year.
okay. Oh,
It
it
should be
the same.
around the same.
Okay, so, I think the discussion was when we established that cum rate. We did a higher rate for a while so that we could get these updates done, and then we'll slowly decrease that. But not take it all the way away like we had previously done, so that there will still be a little nest egg for improvements in the voting machines. But I just wanted to make sure when we would be safe to kind of step that down. So it sounds like 28.
They should be paid off at the end of this year.
At
That
the
was,
end of this year, okay,
Yeah.
so we could actually step that rate down a little
And
bit
27.
for 27.
yeah, that's what's scheduled right now is I'm to pay it off before I leave office.
Okay, cause right now she has a cash balance of 67,000, and then they'll have
Another disbursement.
another disbursement in December.
So as soon as that hits is when I'll pay that.
Okay.
And then, I mean, you're good for 20 years on machines.
Yeah, right.
I mean.
Theoretically.
Yes.
Gotta
There's
remember
probably gonna be some
last
upgrades.
You're good.
I
See you later.
think that's how long it took though, on those other machines before we did anything. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions, Brian?
No, enjoy your day.
Hey, guys.
Thank you.
That was my last budget meeting. You guys have a great day.
Right.
So,
No, that's not that. Right, and so we created
The
a.
restroom, and then I'll. Amy's next.
Mhm.
She's
So
not here.
yeah, we knew she was mandated to update those machines. Yeah, so we knew that there was gonna be a significant amount, so.
But we ended up with the budget.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go ahead and close this down so that it doesn't only have to be. Related. So
Yeah.
that we're, you know, on the. And then. So that'll be charging, and then this, all you'll have to do
Sure.
is literally go here, little thing.
Cause when I went out and stretched my legs, Tabitha was there already.
Oh. I'll be back after lunch.
Okay.
I have to have a personal thing I have to take care of. Then we'll be back.
Okay.
And you, right, whenever you click that, a little thing's going to pop up that says in meeting for all. Just go ahead and click it. And then on your edge, just exit out of the YouTube browser as well.
Okay.
Yep, and then I'll be here.
For the afternoon.
I don't see her yet.
Okay, thank you.
And you.
Okay. Mhm.
Very knowledgeable.
Mhm.
Yes. Is Megan out there? Oh, there you go. Come
I'm
on.
a little early, but
Come on. Yeah, come on.
I said Garrett. The Garrett slipped through the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me here or wait?
Yeah,
right there. Go ahead.
Here, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to wait just a second. Here you go.
Yeah, we'll wait till Barry gets back. Are you ready? Is she talking about Heather? Well, she's gonna have to leave for a little while. Go ahead, Amy. You're ready to go.
Yeah. So I did ask for a couple of things. I don't know where you guys want me to start. You want me to start with those? A travel budget. So currently, whenever I go to training, it's only covered for me to take someone that's a state called meeting. But we have a lot of training through our program that we use at work. And I would like for my employees to get paid to be able to go to it for like gas. So a small travel fund would help. We don't have a whole lot of them, but it's training that would be very useful for our office.
How many meetings have they been to this
They
year?
can't go to them because unless it's state called, I've been going to them myself.
And then do an office training?
Yeah, I have to like
Okay.
either show them, but And sometimes like at CSI, they're pretty flexible, so if we're needing a little more, they're always willing to help, but, they highly like suggest us going to those if we can make it.
How much you thinking about?
I put 400 is, I mean, is what I started with. Um. We are gonna be getting more training. I'm not really sure how much more we're getting updates for 2027. For CSI next year, so there will be a lot more, but if they can at least make it to some of it, that would be great.
And I'll just make a comment to that. I know in my roles in management, to cut costs. In the corporation, we will train our managers, and then as part of their job, they're to go back within their. Groups that
Right.
report to them. And then, host training to make sure that there is communication from up through the channels through management. So, I mean, for me, looking at training, typically our employees don't travel out to do training. If they can't receive it via the computer,
In-house.
then it is responsibility of that department head to train those individuals. That's just the
Well,
way.
yeah, the reason I did this too is other offices on the first floor also have this,
Mhm,
and they are able to do it.
mhm,
And I feel like if that's something that's an option for employees to do, like,
mhm.
I should try to do it because it'll better our office, because there's a lot
Are
of
they
changes.
receiving certifications? Is that what?
No,
they're
this is like our software that we use to record every single document. We index it, we scan it, all of it. It's to help prevent like fraud. It's checking notaries now. Like there's a lot of new things. So it's all training for catching those mistakes, whether it be mistakes of attorneys bringing stuff in, mistakes from other offices missing stuff, from just a whole scope of things.
Mhm.
Like, so it's just one of those where.
Yeah.
And people learn different too.
Oh,
and
yeah,
absorb it
absolutely.
different, like, and so just kind of. And it's not, we don't, like I said, we don't have a whole lot of them, but I know
Mhm.
next year, like whole new updates for CSI. So there is gonna be, some opportunities for that. I went to a couple of them already. They're like in Columbus and stuff like that, like
Right.
not too far
Not too
away.
far. And the
Yeah.
treasurer's budget matches that same request, their travel is
Yeah,
400,
travel.
which is what you have requested.
Yeah, I just think it's nice to be able to. And I mean, it helps me too, because they may get things and understand them different than I do. We can feed off each other, so. I think it's a good opportunity. You go on with the next.
Sure, go
Okay.
ahead.
The next one is a part-time. So far in the past, the previous recorder went to everything on her own and did not take anybody with her. I can't take people with me to, train and learn more at conference and stuff like that. But the problem is when I take one of my staff with me, I'm leaving one behind getting slammed with documents on their own. So a part-time person, even just to kind of answer phones and help with customer service, would really help us a lot. I know this last conference, I went by myself. The time before that, I've tried both. I've tried taking someone, I've tried not. But it is a lot on the office for someone to keep it open a week, by themselves. And our document intake has picked up. We've got 500 more documents than last year. And, we have a lot more searchers in due to all of the new projects in town. We've really been busy with people searching, and when people come in to search, we can't search for them, but we are to help them, and you could be in the back for 6 or 7 hours with one person. So if he's by himself, or she, whoever stays, is in the back with someone helping them, then who's answering the phone, who's taking documents from other offices coming in, attorneys come in. So just a part-time person to kind of help a little bit, just to cover that kind of stuff, sick time, vacations, just something to help support the office a little bit more so we can get more training done too.
Is there, and I know, I appreciate the, obviously, a letter sharing some of those details.
Yeah.
When something is brand new in the budget and requested is always helpful. I'm just curious, are there any, sources as far as our county size compared to others? The number, like you said, you know, so far this year, you're up about 500 more documents compared to last calendar year. You know, obviously, it's sometimes easy for us to see, okay, this office, we have, you know, 2 fewer FTEs compared to these 4 counties that are comparable
Right.
size to ours, you know, this is a
Right.
problem. You know, just like we might compare the number of deputies we have in the sheriff's department, you know, and
Mhm.
what's needed for this area. So, you know, is there, if you come across any supportive information, feel free before
Right.
decisions are made to share that with us as far as what, you know, I know it would be helpful for you. Like you said, if somebody's gone to training, which is certainly not every day or even monthly, but like you're mentioning, filling in for if somebody, or if they're on sick time, having another body, if you could provide us any extra.
Right. No, and I can
supportive
actually-
details.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
last year I did like a whole graph, and I don't know if you guys got it, but it was like of the surrounding counties, the parcel intake. I can pull that up again and definitely show you guys that, but I just know like offhand right now, as of like probably 3 weeks ago, we are like 500 more. It's just picked up. So, but I can definitely print
Yeah.
that off because it
Yeah.
shows the count around us.
Uh-huh.
And like if I go to Columbus, I mean, they're like way, way ahead. But if you go to the smaller counties, you know, it's a little bit, the ones that are closer to us obviously would help. But I did do that last year, but I can bring it back up.
And I also think that we need to have a clear understanding of what the office coverage hours are.
Yes.
And, for instance, like if you're out of the office, do we have adequate coverage? And what that looks like.
Okay. Like, you want me to tell you now or just go?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell
So
me now.
we are like like with our hours, obviously it's 8 to 4. We don't close for lunch. There's always somebody there for lunch. And then like if I'm out, like it's one of those, if it just depends if I'm out on vacation or out sick or whatever, most of the time I have the other 2 deputies covered. We're really good about keeping 2 people in office, like as much as we can. Because the workflow and it flows best and works best with 2. But there's always someone covering, there's never nobody there in the office,
Right.
if that's what you're.
I mean, on the average day, I assume all 3 of you are in the office.
Yeah.
I mean, again, training's
Right,
not-
well, like, and I'm here, they're there, yeah, like,
Sure.
there's definitely, yeah.
And that what was. Actually, I remember right, I don't think you. The letter with the request that I don't believe you. Provided an estimate dollar.
Right, well, and that's,
I
I'm,
think, did you?
I don't remember. I'm gonna type this up right after this.
I don't think so.
Why not?
The 3rd letter was, support of the pay increase of the
Yeah,
part-time
and that's
funding
something,
request. There was no dollar amount given.
and that's something that. I'm open for. I mean, honestly, I would be good if like enough to just cover like a couple weeks. I mean, I'm not asking for a whole lot because we're not gonna need it a whole lot, but just to be able to cover for emergencies.
10 days.
Yeah, just something like that would be, I mean, we've been winging it right now with no part-time help, but we've seen with the way everything is picking up and the way the office is flowing that this would really help us to stay up. That way we don't get behind too.
I just have to mention, I know it's easier said than done, but. Even if the funding was there and or approved for 2 weeks of work to find somebody. And train them when
Yes.
they're only
Yes,
have
but it,
2 weeks of work.
well, it's even like other offices. I'm opening the door. Any of you guys can come down and see how it all functions at the courthouse and come to my office and see. But other offices, I'm not just doing this I've done my research, like other offices do this too. Like it's manageable, even if it's a body to help answer the phones or guide people, hey, this is where the plaques are, this is where the surveys are. Like that kind of just a little bit is enough to keep one person from having to do it all and not able to keep up with our daily work. Because it is in and out of our office, like we're constantly pushing documents through, getting them back and then recording them. And attorneys, offices, searchers come in every day, our local ones come in every day and pick up their work. So the turnaround is most of the time, unless it's a Friday, the next day. We give them all their work back the next day. So if there is somebody there to at least help take a little bit of that weight off, then we can keep up with our work to help other offices stay on track for themselves. Cause, and sometimes we do have attorneys call and be like, hey, we're waiting on this, like it needs, like, hey, somebody's in the hospital, we need a POA recorded right now, like, it just depends, so.
I appreciate you advocating for your employees and, you know, I know I'm willing to review, and I think everybody is.
Yeah, that's been
Both of your
hard.
requests, both the salary increases to align with the other offices. And then just to keep in mind what's sustainable for the county. But I also keep in mind too, that, sometimes what they do in the treasurer's office or the your office, or even Amanda's office or the auditor's office, even though those jobs look similar, sometimes they're maybe different, and everybody has a different type of workload.
Right.
So,
And that's why I welcome like you guys to come down and see, because the documents that come through in and out of my office start with me and end with me, but they go through all of those offices. So I have another office that has like what would be like a third deputy that's making more than my first and my second deputy who have been in the courthouse longer. Like I just feel like they touch the same document. We process it, we get it first in our office, then it goes to the assessor's office, then it goes to the auditor's office, then they pay at the treasurer's office, and then it comes back to me to record. And then we also like double check it, we're checking notary fraud, all of that happens too. So those documents, and the reason I'm requesting the pay change is because the documents that are going through the whole channel, like they may be they're being worked on by individuals that are making up to $2,000 more when my employees are actually doing more to those documents than other offices. Like we start with them, we end with them, but like they may do things to put in their system, but we index everything. So if you buy a piece of property, we have the previous owner, the new owner, the legal, and we're going to be doing the notary to catch notary fraud. Just the whole, if there's a survey with it, we have to index that. We take them over for the surveyor to scan in. And that's another thing, like we've given our system access at the surveyor's office. CSI is willing to do that to help them with looking at documents easier. That's something we just did last week. And then we also have it in the auditor's office because it helps them as well. That way they don't have to come to me like, hey, pull this, pull this, pull this. Instead of like, hey, here's our program. Like, don't print it and give it to people because that's how we make our money is, $1 per page. But it's helping the other offices too. But that's the reason I was asking for the pay, because I have two really good employees that have been there. They have the same qualifications. They've both been in recorders' offices. One came from another county that was much bigger, brought a lot of knowledge in. And then
how long have they been in Jefferson County, each one?
Well, my first one was IT before that, so I don't know how long he's been there for a while. And then Sierra has.
But in the recorder's office?
Previous recorder, so.
Okay.
Yeah. But while he was in there with me, or with the previous court recorder, I got her from Franklin County. So she has experience with a county that has a lot of things that we don't have. She's seen a lot of things that we haven't. With the new buildings and stuff, like we index them different. We have to do a lot of things different. So she is familiar with some of those, which is nice to have. And if we are able to get a part-time person, I think I might be able to find someone that does have some background with that. as well.
We closed that gap substantially last year, right? Between the
Yeah.
offices. So there's gonna be a gap. I'm just
Oh,
gonna go ahead and tell you,
yeah.
and we closed it substantially last year, so. I wouldn't be open to closing that gap anymore. I can just tell you where I stand on that. I think we did a substantial gap closing last year, and I'd rather try to give everybody a 4% raise than any more gap closing. That's just where I stand on that.
So are we doing then like the first, second, third deputy, like, cause is that like something that we're doing? Or can I make both of mine first deputy equal pay and make it at least fair in my office? If it's not gonna be like fair across the board, because it's, you know. They have
So
more
when we go to talk
experience.
about it, so you're saying either or, you would,
Yeah, like, which I mentioned it in here, making them both my first deputies, because they have the exact same qualifications, exact same training, exact same time, like, within the recorder's office, across the board, but, I mean, it would be great if we could close that gap, but if it doesn't happen, like, my first deputy will never make what the other office first deputy makes, it's not fair across the board. A third deputy in another office makes, what, $200 more or so than my first deputy, who has been there longer. Like, there's people that are in my office that have been there longer than other people, so are we looking by deputy ranking? Are we looking by experience? Like, that's why I kind of wasn't too sure how to go about this. Just because I'm not really sure how you guys are wanting to view the first floor because we work on the same documents.
So you have a first deputy and a second deputy right now. That's their title, right?
Yep, because that's what it was before, but there are other offices that have two first deputies. There's other recorders offices that have two first deputies. So, but that's why I'm asking, like, if we're gonna be like, okay, you're first deputy, then are you first deputy along with the rest of the entire first floor first deputy? We're gonna have first and second, and it just like, or are we just doing away with the ranking? Like, how are we looking at our employees with that?
I believe that's something that we've had a discussion on. or
No, haven't.
I said, I don't think anybody's ever said, obviously, of course, everybody wants to fight for funding increase, salary increase for their staff, which we
Right.
certainly applaud. And obviously, we did a really good job last year looking, again, not just neighboring, but specifically
Right.
comparison with like-sized counties. I don't think I recall a time where somebody said, can we just, even if I don't have more staff, can we make a second deputy in my office, a first deputy, so I can just.
Well, that's
have two first
something
deputies. I mean, that's really never happened.
That's something that in other counties they do though, so that's just like, and my two are so equal across the board. I don't want one to feel like they are over the other because they're both qualified for the same things, so. But, and another reason I was asking is just because like, if we are gonna go by first and second deputy across the board, like, how do I talk to my deputies about other first deputies and second deputies and third deputies that have been there less time than they have, making more money? So like, is it across the board, or are we going by like how much time they've been an employee?
Definitely, it is definitely not based on seniority.
Okay.
Obviously supervisors don't want to lose a valuable.
No, and I don't wanna lose mine
employee.
either, cause they're really, really good at what they do.
I agree with that.
The sheriff's department was the first department that we really wanted to take a look at honoring some tenure simply because of the nature of what they do.
Yeah.
And that's quite common in that practice.
Yeah.
Seeing a longevity plan in place, helps with them, I don't mind every day. But that's definitely come up in discussion, but yeah, that's a discussion we definitely have. I don't recall that being brought up really like that, that, like you said, they
Yeah.
may be equal education, they do a similar job, but, we're gonna take a second deputy and make them the first deputy.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get it, like, just for me to try to understand how you guys view it, and also, like, just for the first floor to flow and people have, cause I mean, obviously, salaries, everybody can look at them, when my employee's like, whoa, I'm your first deputy, but another office that we touch the same documents, like their third deputy makes 2,000 at least more. Like that's kind of why I was just
So
trying to
across the
figure out.
state, recorders, auditors, treasurers, assessors do not make all the same.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not just us.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's just the hierarchy, because as was stated, and I've used this example, where I work at, we've got a quality control department and we're vital.
Mhm.
We're vital. We don't make as much as
Right.
the engineering department. It
Right.
just doesn't work that way. So that's kind of what we got going on here, I believe. So
Good discussion and, yeah,
Just for me to kind of understand, just like how you guys, because
Oh, I
You
always
know.
appreciate advocating for employees
yeah, but
because
you guys
But
came,
I do-
you ladies last year coming
you
in.
have to do that every year.
You guys coming in last year and advocating for the people under you, not even for yourself, was so honorable. And because of that, we did close that gap. I'm just saying, I just don't know if we're gonna be able to do that anymore.
Mhm.
I'm just speaking for myself here. I'm just trying to brace everybody for that
Yeah.
possibility where we can't make everybody equal, or should we? And probably not, I don't think. So,
I guess the only reason all I was asking is because the work that's going on within my office, like I said, it channels through the other offices. There's not much of a difference in some of the work that the people that are touching the same documents that start into my office, why are they getting paid $2,000 more when we actually index more than they do? Like, there's just differences. That's why, like, I'm just trying to close that a little bit. I understand at the point, but. And that's why I welcome any of you to come down and see the process. I mean, Dwayne's came down a few times, but I think it helps understanding who all touches what documents and where they go and the process of it all.
because of your all's advocating, I believe that the treasurers, the recorder and the treasurer, recorder, and assessor's office, you all got like a 10% raise last year, right? Ended up being about 10%. Yeah, I think so. So we closed that gap got closed considerably.
Cause they
I
were,
thought we got
They-
4.
You got a
Last year.
4%
They-
raise, but you also got,
Okay, I was
your
like,
first and second deputies got quite a bit more to close that gap between the other, departments.
the 4% was across the board,
yeah.
and then we had.
Yeah, 'cause
salaries
I-
that increased,
yeah, cause I'm looking at last
You're
year, we
correct.
went from 39,751 to 44,751. And, that's about a 9 point, almost a 10% increase.
So what was the second deputy in my office then? Because-
Last year, they went from 37,717 to 42,717.
Well, I appreciate whatever you guys can do.
So the first deputy, second deputy, third deputy, I'm looking here, fourth deputy at Abbott's office. What, is it all separated by JD, job description? Or is it,
And
Hiring
training,
date?
yeah, things of that nature.
Is
As they get
that
more
it?
training, they hire date and other things. Yeah.
okay,
So, yeah, you were right, I'm calculating over a little over 10%.
and then just so we can make sure again, as we dig deep, your part-time request for what you have asked in support, you don't have anything hard, we have to have 8 hours a week of help, or we.
No,
You're
this is
you're
like,
just-
yeah.
Okay.
It will be the 3 of us in there until we really need that part-time person. Now I can let them know like ahead of time, like, obviously get them in there, get them, trained to be able to help do, what they can to help the person that they're staying with. But conference, I have conference, once a year, like I already have dates for that stuff at work. Things like that is really when we could use a part-time person. The other day, we actually had a record for, since I've been in there, and I think the previous record with 96 documents coming through in one day. That's like really high for us. So it is picking up, and there was 2 of us there that day because I had an employee out sick. So the workflow is picking up, and it's getting to the point where like just one person is just too much for one person to say.
Do you think like between 50 and 80 hours, part-time, we could somehow, would that be a benefit? Cause you mentioned maybe 10 days.
Yeah, and I'm willing with that, whatever you guys are willing to work with me on, I can try it for this next year and be like, hey, guess what? I didn't need that much.
Do you have anybody in
Or, hey,
mind that might be able to
There's
help?
actually, yeah, previous recorder's granddaughter goes to Hanover College and is
Okay.
looking for a job. I don't know if she's still, obviously, I didn't have one when she was looking, so,
Sure.
but I do have other recorders that have reached out that know people looking for jobs in the community here that have had experience.
Okay.
And that's actually the same recorder that I ended up getting one of my employees from, so.
So probably less than 100 hours a year.
Yeah, and like I said, like next year, next budget, I could be like, hey, guess what? Like, we use like hardly any, or, you know, just kind of to try it this next year, see kind of where we are, I guess.
Hmm.
It's mainly for conference, I'll be honest with you. It's a full week.
Budget like $1,500 and.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to start with whatever you guys.
So, yeah, and you're talking about good experience for someone that's maybe wanting to get into
Yeah,
the field. Okay.
and that'll just help too, because like I said, I'll just be honest, with all the new stuff coming up in Madison, I've had more people come in searching the proving grounds and where the data, all of that.
Yeah.
Like, and it takes like 7 hours out of an 8-hour workday to help these people sometimes. And it's just not people in the community. It's actually like official, like other people that work for the county that are like, hey, yeah, I need this document, I need this help. So, and it just takes time. I don't know. I don't think I changed too much with all my.
And
other
you,
stuff.
did you guys get a new scanner?
Yeah, and I paid for that out of the perpetuation fund. Right now, the perpetuation fund, I actually printed that off, and the ID protection fund, because our county is so far behind, it's gonna be wiping those. I just made a $57,000 payment. I'm not even close. We don't pay them all in one lump sum. I pay them when they send me the invoice every so months when they're like, hey, finish this stage. But at least they're all scanned in now, because honestly, when we had that fire, if it went down to the first floor, they're not backed up. Like, our records would have been gone permanently. So now I have it backed up, I think, in 4 different places now. So, but that money for these accounts, that's what it's for, and that's what the IC code says. So, I'm using one of them the perpetuation fund is gonna take all of that. The ID protection is helping with redaction. And then I have been paying my CSI, which is the program that we use for our office. I've been paying my contracts out of my perpetuation fund too. Let's see, what fund is that? It has $18,000 in it. I can use I'm gonna try to use a chunk of that. CSI said, in the recorder maintenance contract fund, CSI said that they'll try to break it down to where I can actually pull from that, because I'm sucking so much money out of the perpetuation fund. Money is going back in there from Docs Pop. We signed up for that when I got in there, and that brings us anywhere from $300 to $1,000 a week. And it goes straight to preserving the records. So we're trying to, between those three, get our county caught up, but it's seriously like $400+ $1,000 like work, like that has to be done.
So last year you talked about being behind because you're trying to go digital with everything. Have you made any good substantial
Yeah.
progress over the
So
last year?
by the end of this year, we should have all images completely. When I say that, they're all scanned in. So if a catastrophic event happened, they're backed up, but they're going through, because they're older documents, handwritten, they're like enhancing them. So you can read them better, or doing all that kind of stuff. But by the end of this year, we should have all the images cleared up, all the indexing done. And then in my office, and this is another thing, like if a part-time person could need like time, we could show them how to index and scan. We are working with the military DD-214s, getting those digitized to help the safe.
VSO.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
So anyway, and that's not something, I don't think they have funds to do, so we're trying to do that in our office to kind of help them out, because it also helps us, because there's people that come in that have to go to our office and then maybe across the street to the other office, and half the time it's hard enough for them to get in one office.
right.
So we're working on that, and then some of our plats aren't scanned, and so we're trying to work with Brian upstairs to use his scanner to maybe get those scanned in and index those on our own. So it's a little bit of a lot of scanning.
So is that something that's gonna be on Faith's, budget?
Nope, I'm doing it for her. Like
Okay.
we have, well, they're in my office and, okay, so the DD 214s, depending on the year, like she has half and I have half. Why don't we all have those in one spot? I don't know. So but she doesn't have the machine to pull them up because it's microfilm. So we have the machine, so we're gonna take the books because they're also in the books. So we're gonna scan the books. She doesn't have a scanner, but the courthouse has a scanner upstairs. So we're just trying to do that to help.
Okay.
Like I mean, if that's just something her and I have talked about because it's really hard sending veterans back and forth. It's just they do that a lot. So, yeah. So
Okay.
that's kind of where I'm at.
Efficiencies,
Huh?
I said efficiencies, making the best use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's recommended for veterans
Yes,
to
Yes.
submit to the recorder
yeah,
your DD 214, so
but then,
Recorded.
it's
Yeah.
there, it exists, it's,
Mhm.
you know.
But then Faith
But
is
then
another
Faith
building.
gets some, cause if I was a, regular sailor, maybe I don't trust the government,
well,
I'm
she
holding on to
helps,
my copy of it.
well, and she helps you with
And
all
then
of
she
your
gets it,
stuff.
she helps us, I mean, I'm just
She
saying.
helps,
Back up,
she helps
back
the
up.
Reasons
veterans.
why
Back
there's
up.
two files.
Yeah, and she helps the veterans get like their qualifications for everything, and then the auditor's office, they get their deduct, you know what I mean? Like, we all kind of work hand in hand,
Right,
but
right.
it's just, we're kind of scattered with the
I don't
documents.
give originals, yeah, it's,
Anybody have any more questions for Amy?
And this, your association dues went up by 100.
We think so, maybe more. We don't get that until last
Would
year.
you?
I went off the previous year. So
Okay.
I didn't know what else.
Then
because
they go up.
It may go up even more, like everything's going up, just, you know, how the world is, so.
Right.
Yeah. But that's all I have. Sorry if I'm a little everywhere.
No, I appreciate your, information and all your details. Thank you for that.
Is there anything else with the rest of this you guys need to know?
I don't
I don't
have
think I
any, but
changed
I
mine.
can always reach out to you.
Yeah. Okey-dokey.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thanks, guys. Do you need to let?
Yeah,
Okay.
Please.
Guys.
Ready for me?
Hello? Yes, ma'am.
I brought bread, not, I mean sustenance. It's, I saw the donuts, I'll put it in the other room. I saw the donuts in the other room, so I thought,
you're too kind.
what would I enjoy when I'm stuck in my office during tax time and I
I
can't
think
leave?
we all need treadmills or some kind of walking thing so we can stand up instead of sit down.
Right?
Yeah.
An exercise,
Yeah, because that's the only thing I don't look forward to, is sitting in
sitting
the
all
chair
day.
for 12 hours.
I have bananas, apples, and some muffins, so help yourself, I'll put them in. the
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You?
Why am I not in trouble?
And now, where do you ask for?
Not much.
Maybe the one right before,
It's right
right?
after this, right?
It's, oh, okay. Yeah, but right before, Megan, or, and you know what?
Oh, you don't have a fund in another, you're just through. Yeah.
It's on my notes. I wrote Amy's notes on your page. So I'm just gonna have to do some rewriting.
That's treasure.
More work for myself.
Pretty straightforward.
It's,
I'm ready when you're ready.
Yeah, whenever, we guys, what we guys, whatever they're called, how over
it's,
I switched around today, usually you're
Oh, I know.
sitting.
Yeah,
over
we
here.
did
they work out with that.
We said hopefully there's no fires over here. Oh, I guess we do have a door.
Yeah.
There's an exit.
Yeah, I forgot about that being there.
You guys ready? Is everybody ready? Go ahead, Megan.
I didn't bring a copy of the budget. I don't think I changed anything. I think after last year, I increased a couple of things just for cost of living and things going up, and I think we're sitting pretty good on that. The only thing that I'm here today for is to advocate for my employees. I wanted to thank all of you individually, for bridging that gap last year. I really appreciate everything that you did for us. We just have that little bit to go, and I overheard on the last one, you know, some comments that were made, and didn't know if there was anything else to discuss. I thought it was pretty straightforward, so.
You know, we do appreciate you guys advocating. And what I really appreciated last year was when you three came in and you weren't fighting for yourself, you were fighting for your employees, and I really appreciated that.
We're nothing without our employees,
Exactly.
so.
And simply because you work close together and obviously, Amy West is still here. Ironically, two line items that are not in her budget, two different departments, but they are in yours. In fact, I noted that $400 that she had requested for travel is what you have in yours. And that may or may not, you know, get used on some years. And then, the second is that part-time, and again, I'm not comparing workloads, but I just happened to notice when I was reviewing the budget before today that up to, when our budget books were prepared, and we typically are looking at a mid-year stop point, $518 previous, or up to this point had been spent in part-time, which you have a $6,000 line item. Yes, just curious, anticipating what you may spend from that part-time. You anticipate that number will increase, that the need is there for this, the second half of the
So
year.
last year, I ended up using all of that part-time budget up to like maybe $6, $9, something like that. It got very close. I had two part-time ladies, which I don't know how, if any of you know how easy it is to find somebody that just wants to work a few times a year, and especially for our busy seasons. It's really hard to find somebody that A, is good with money, B, fits the requirements, and C, has the time and the availability to come in. So I lost both of my part-time employees this year at the same time, right before tax season. So we were at the point where there was no way I could bring somebody in. We had just got new software, tax software. So even if I brought somebody that had previously worked in the office, training them the new software just for a couple weeks didn't really seem beneficial for the office. So we all hunkered down and we really dug our heels in, and we had to work really hard, and it was very stressful because of the new tax software and all of the changes that we had, and just being the three of us. So I have hired Angela Rogers. She was upstairs in circuit court. So she has just come on. We are training her, getting her in as much as possible. It's not a super busy time of year right now. So until that starts picking up, you know, I don't really want to bring her in a whole bunch and spend money when there's not a lot going on. So I'm trying to utilize that budget and then hopefully get another part-time person down the road. So that way we do have a backup for that.
It would be hard to find somebody that's on call. Hey, I need you
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
tomorrow or the
It
next
is,
day.
it's really
And it would
hard.
either be somebody that likes the work and maybe has done the work, older, that's got time, that would love to come in and be part of that, or somebody younger who's going to school that you'd like to give some
Right.
experience to.
Yeah.
So, but
It's a hard balance to
Is
find.
there a possibility of, if somebody's working in another office part-time, that you might be able to get them to come to your office and work part-time?
I mean, I would be open to that.
Like employee sharing.
Yeah, the only other
We
part-time
do that a
person
lot.
I know is Christy Rogan. Cause I don't think Diana really comes in much. I don't know if she would be interested in that.
We have them like multi-train
Yeah.
so that they can float. We call them float.
well, we got.
Mhm. No, I would definitely be interested in that.
I have a question for you, just around training. That stipend, that amount, that line item amount of $400, is it primarily reimbursement for mileage?
Yes. And travel, like if
Mhm.
we go to a meeting, usually my cost of traveling is covered depending on what kind of meeting it is. But if I do take an employee for training, then it's not always
Okay.
covered.
Then my second follow-up question to that is, how often do you conduct team meetings, like team huddles or educational meetings, those type of things?
So I require my girls to go to different conferences or AIC meetings.
Mhm.
We're together all day in the office, so we're constantly like training and doing that kind of stuff
Mhm.
during office hours. We don't really do those after hours, but We just had our spring treasures conference and Debbie, my first employee, first deputy, she went with me. And then I take Twyla to other meetings, like our tax sale conferences that she really focuses on. So there's multiple meetings throughout the year, lots of traveling, lots of.
So my follow-up to that is maybe just, think out of the box, just going some of the different places that I've worked over the last 25 years. Would it be beneficial to have educational meetings or huddles or whatever, team meetings after hours, like between the hours, maybe they stay over 4 to 4:30, and then if they are required to stay after to have a meeting and then compensate their hours, adjust their hours later within that same work week. We do that. I usually do that quite a bit. You know, if I'm required to stay after hours to have a meeting to learn a new skill, software, whatever, then we adjust staffing accordingly. It's just a thought.
Yep.
That may, if we ever run into a pinch where we would have to reduce travel, that would rely on, the education would rely from, the director or whoever it is of that department.
I personally find in-person training to be a lot more obtainable for learning things. We don't do, the only time we really get comp is during tax time when we absolutely have to stay. We don't do a lot of after hour things, but something to look into and consider, but yeah.
So you got here 6,000 requested for part-time. I'm just, again, we're trying to think outside the box a little bit. Amy was just in here and talking about a need for, she talked about a particular busy time during the year that do you all have that same busy time of the year where an extra part-time person would be helpful, that maybe you, as we talked about, you could share that person?
Like me sharing my employee with her?
Well, right, like if you had one part-time, like she was talking about some young lady that would be interested. We're talking about maybe, I don't know, 50, 70 hours a year, but if you needed that many, all of a sudden, you've got 150 hours a year that might justify having a part-time flex person, as we talked about, down there to help both offices.
So would she still have her own separate budget, or are we talking about like sharing a budget? I'm
No,
not.
she'd have her budget and you would have yours.
Right.
So I guess sharing an employee doesn't, I mean, if it would work out, it would work out, but to learn two different jobs is, each
Okay.
office has their
Sure.
own share of job duties, and to kind of intermingle those, I mean,
Okay.
I'm not sure how easy that would be on the part-time person, because I know in my office, just learning straight tax stuff, it's a lot. It takes a normal full-time employee in my office 2.5 years to actually get a whole grasp of the job and to learn the whole job. So to do part-time, I mean, it would basically kind of just be having a body.
It's more than just secretarial.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very hands-on in our
Okay,
office.
okay.
But I guess that would really be up to the part-time employee if they would want to delve into that.
Okay.
I mean, if push came to shove and someone just needed someone in the office to kind of navigate people or take notes or answer phones, yeah. But I don't like to leave my office that way. I like to leave somebody there that can
Sure.
actually help, because a lot of people come in and they take their time and they want the help then and there. So why wait for me to come back when that person has that full rounded training?
I understand. Okay. You guys have any more questions for Megan? Thank you, Megan.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for the considerate.
It is, if you
Purchase
could
of
take
the-
that back to the office and share it with your staff, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right,
All right,
thanks.
thank you guys.
I just wouldn't want it to get looked over and forgotten about here.
Sure.
Hello.
That's nice.
How's everybody? Like I usually do, I've got kind of a snapshot of what Superior Court has been accomplishing
over the last 365 days.
I love this. You gave us that last year, and I've got it in my book. I was hoping you'd bring it
Thank you.
Thank you. So just quickly, kind of point out a couple of things here. If you look down and we're at the bottom half where it says clearance rate, last 365 days, Superior Court as a whole is at 93%, meaning we closed 93% of our caseload. The only area that was not at 100% closure or above was the civil, which you'll see is at 65%. And that fluctuates a lot because if you get a lot of complex civil cases filed, they sometimes take years to get taken care of. As far as public fund expenditure, the criminal cases is really what affects the taxpayers, and you can see that the felony criminal cases, we closed 101%. And misdemeanor cases, we also closed 101%. Average age of closed cases at the time of closure was 204 days for felonies, 137 for misdemeanors, which is really good. And the infractions, they're also closing out better than they have in the past. And that's really dependent on people showing up for traffic court and
We've also had a huge increase too.
in the traffic.
Yeah, your
Cases,
infractions have increased year to year.
Yeah,
Well, if you look at everything has increased
pretty much.
significantly.
So in 21, 22, 23, and 24, our criminal case filings were extremely high. And in 2025, we were down 30% in case filings. And I think that was primarily attributed to the fact that a lot of the repeat offenders that we have are in prison. And so they're not out to commit those new offenses. We're on that same scale this year. We're about 30% down from what we were in 24, but pretty well even with what we were in 25. So the pending caseload for the criminal is been averaging right around 350 new cases pending at any given time, which is down about 1,200 from when I took over. Things just weren't moving well back then, and they are. We are keeping things on track and have for some time now. So as far as the budget goes, I haven't asked for anything any different from last year. And so if you have any questions, we actually went down a
Yeah, I
little
see
bit.
that.
So if you look on the second, for the salary, 52,144 for the criminal court reporter, whenever Sarah Stockdale, she'd been there for 30 years when she retired and we hired in a new person. I didn't think that it was fair to start the new person out at that salary. And so I asked that it be lowered down to the 49,451 that it was at. And that's really the only change, which was a reduction.
Awesome.
And you do or don't anticipate you'll use all of it part-time?
We'll be very close to using all the part-time. The part-time employee works generally 3 days a week and is really helpful in covering time off from other employees and
and things, so I anticipate we'll use the bulk of that. When we're not as busy during, times when attorneys are taking vacations, fall break, Christmas break, spring break, things like that. I don't have the part-time employee, come in as much during, that period of time because we're just not that busy, so.
Thank you. And I knew that the pet, which that's just one of those pictures. You hope you don't have to use it, but if that's has to be there. I know last year taking that down 2,000. But luckily the need hasn't been there. But I assume still smart to keep that at the 13,000.
Yeah, we've dodged some bullets already this year, as far as some lengthy trials that pled. Before we actually had to spend money to send the jury summonses out. But you just don't know what's going to happen. The first 3 years, I believe, of my term, we had averaged at about 2 trials a year, and then last year we had 7 or 8. And Judge Moat traditionally has had a lot more trials, and last year he had none.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to plan for those. You have to be so reactive to the parties on that.
And I know he mentioned, Devin referenced also the language line, which was like, I forget, it's like less than $1 a minute or something. Obviously, that's been a blessing. Because it can assist with any language, even if for the most part, we're seeing interpretation for Spanish. Tell me, who is paying, like you spent 200 of what was the interpreter line item of the 5,000 thus far this year. And Judge Moat mentioned one particular case and having an actual live interpreter in the room, and that it was indeed a blessing in that particular case, I think. Who's paying for the language line?
It's like reimbursable grant, correct?
So they actually changed it. They went to a grant, and then they realized quickly, this was through Indiana Office of Court Services in Indianapolis. They realized very quickly that it was going to be too cumbersome. And so they went back to their previous model, which was court services will pay for language line. The reason that they kind of moved away from that was there were some courts that were apparently abusing it. They were giving their court code to defense attorneys, to prosecutors to use the language line service. To communicate with clients or to be able to communicate with witnesses. And that's not what it was intended for. And so we got that back with the strict admonishment that if you abuse it again, you're going to lose it. Your counties are going to have to pay for all of these. Now, language line can only be used for certain things. I use it for initial hearings a lot, for agreed upon pleas. Now, if you get into a trial or into a contested bail hearing, a contested sentencing hearing, things like that, the Supreme Court will not allow us to use language line. We have to get a court certified interpreter, which there are very few throughout the state. They're almost all located in Indianapolis. I think the last time Judge Moat had to get one of those, he had to pay the interpreter $200 an hour plus mileage to get her down here from Indianapolis. And then it was $250 an hour thereafter, and she had a minimum, which was, even if she was down here for 30 minutes, you had to pay her for 2 hours or something like that. The $200 that I did spend, I had to get someone that spoke a language that I'd never heard of.
And, it was a lady in Florida. And she had a minimum, I think we used her for about 15 minutes. She had a 1 hour minimum, $200 an hour, so that's where that came from, but, we've been very lucky, at least I have, in, not having to hire someone live to come in. It's difficult to get them for one and very expensive for another. If we had to do a trial, Judge Moat and I both would be coming back to you saying we need additional monies.
So
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
there was a grant that, and you did mention, you touched on this, the grant that paid for this 5,000, but you all paid for it. And then I think last year you all said, we'll pay for it and then we expect to get the grant money, we'll put it back. But you can't depend on that though, right?
Well, the grant's
Gone.
gone now.
Okay, I got you.
It's gone now. They moved away from that very
Okay,
quickly,
okay, I got
because it was going to be too hard for them to work through.
Okay,
So
so it's gone altogether.
it's gone.
Okay, all right.
In years past, Blaine, you've made concerns about psychiatric services.
Mhm.
Is that still a problem, or you still got enough flexibility in your budget to handle it?
I have enough flexibility. My recollection is, whenever I first came in, there was $5,000 set aside for psychiatric services. That is, one defendant that's charged with a level 5 felony or above that I have to get competency evaluations on it. That would take that up. So my recollection was that I'd asked for 15,000 a few years ago. And, after that, the legislature actually changed the law and said if it's a misdemeanor, level 6 felony, then you only have to hire one. And I have a doctor that I use that charges less than half from everyone else, and she's a couple counties away, does a good job. And so I've not had to expend near as much as I traditionally would have, but we still have the issue of mental health that we have to deal with. And thankfully, I've not had to spend as much thus far as in years past on that. So,
And that has to be a doctor, right? It can't just be a psychologist. It's gotta be a psychiatrist.
well, no, it can be.
Okay.
So there's two different things. If there's a request for a competency evaluation, it can be psychologists.
Okay.
If it's tied in with also an insanity defense, then one of those has to be a psychiatrist. And then, of course, if they're testing for two different things, it costs a lot more. The average for a competency, if I have to get more than one person, just for competency, it's gonna be about $4,000. If you throw in, that I have to get two doctors for sanity as well, then we're looking at about $6,000 or more.
Okay.
Per defendant, so.
Thank you. Anybody else have any more questions? No.
Appreciate your job.
Yeah.
Well, I
Thank you so much.
appreciate the thankless job that you all do. And this is a big part of it, trying to make sure that people are funded but not overfunded. And so I appreciate that. And I've always, there's been a time or two where I've had to switch money from one line item to another to shore some things up, and I appreciate you always working with me on that, so. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Uh,
It's amazing.
Speaking of thankless job,